The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
Jon Gruden went on the record and denied ever speaking with the New York Jets. We'll talk about that and much more. We're back from Mobile. It's the Jake Asman Show. Robby Sabo joins. Let's hit it and get it started.
I let the organization down, and I let the players down, and that burns me. It really does. This season's on me, and we're going to work our ass off to get this shit exactly where it needs to be.
A new chapter for the Jets has started. Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji are tasked with shaping the future of this franchise. Will they be the ones to finally get it right? We will be here for every step of the journey on the Jake Asman Show, breaking down all the storylines, every game, and everything in between. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super chats, baby. Cut the line. The Jake Asman Show starts right now.
Here we go, Jet fans. Welcome in, everybody. Big thank you to everyone who tuned in to our coverage live from Mobile. I got home last night, first ever Senior Bowl, and I came away with a flag, all right? So great to watch a bunch of future NFL stars on the field. Great to connect with so many people in the football industry. And again, thanks to Dom C and Dylan for being regulars on the show. Their draft insights was fantastic throughout the week. So big thanks to everyone who tuned in for our Senior Bowl content. I'm decked out in Islander gear because they swept the Rangers for the season series last night, and our guy Robby Sabo is a huge Rangers fan, and he joins us now. Look, I don't have teams in my life that are very good besides my Islanders and my Knicks right now. The Jets have me depressed, so I got to enjoy sports success where I can find it, Mr. Sabo.
This is an act of violence wearing the Isles jersey when you bring me on. This is
the Matthew Schaefer jersey. If only the Jets could get a player in the draft as good as Matthew Schaefer has been.
I tell you, like, this is a personal affront. I will never forgive this.
I remember you once wore Rangers gear and rubbed it into me. So payback is a B word.
Dude, Schaefer is a stud. God, what happened to Fox? He has crumbled. He was never great defensively, great offensively, but he crumbled. Panarin, never been a huge fan. Hockey, hard salary cap league, you can't have $11 million players just be so one-dimensional. Their goalies really carried them. And once Benoit Allaire, for the true Rangers fans, once he took a step back from coaching, things fell apart. That's the real story.
Speaking of things that apparently fell apart, or maybe things that never even happened, Jon Gruden was a guest yesterday on a local radio station down in Tampa. And he was asked point blank about the rumors that the Jets reached out to him. This is from 95.3 WDAE. Here's Jon Gruden being asked about the role on the Jets coaching staff.
Report that the New York Jets had reached out to you about possibly joining their staff and you declined. Can you tell us anything about that?
Well, there's a lot of reports we're not going to get into. As you know, there's a lot of stupid rumors out there. Some of these reports are ridiculous. Let's just say that there was never anything from the Jets, and I wish them well in their search for a new offensive coordinator.
Okay, there was never anything from the Jets. Now, the initial report from Zach Rosenblatt of The Athletic stated that the New York Jets, that they reached out. Gruden, of course, denied that they even reached out, referred to it as a stupid rumor. Robby, what do you make of those comments there from the former Super Bowl winning head coach?
He's right, and at the same time, you have to be suspicious. Number one, I don't think Jets fans should put Rosenblatt in the, in the tries to be malicious or can't trust him category. I don't think he's that at all. He's honest in how he approaches it. That's number one. Number two, he's right. It's for the most part, the per source, quote unquote, in game, I guess I'll call it, is a cottage industry, which is just a soap opera within sports digital media. That's what it is. So most of the stuff is probably not true, spanning all sports. And when I say not true, not exactly true, or however you want to define that, that's fine. People and companies run with it because that's the business. That's what you do. Some people make stuff up. I'm not going to say a lot of people make stuff up, but it's when you play the telephone game as a kid, you understand basically what it is. It's third party info getting tossed around. So Gruden's right in that regard in terms of whether it happened or not, and the Jets offered him a job. I don't know. Honestly, it's if you got to look for motive. And if you're Gruden, what is your motive for lying? I think to not make the Jets look bad, if it is true, to try to potentially be in their good graces in the future. That's a pretty darn good motive. So I think you got to start there and look for motive.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because just because Jon Gruden said he didn't speak to the Jets doesn't mean that Jon Gruden is telling the truth. And that also applies to just because Zach Rosenblatt had a source or sources that said that the Jets reach out to Gruden. That doesn't mean that that actually happened as well. I don't think we know. I know it's easy to just say, oh, the media is out to get the Jets and, it's not true. I don't know about that. I mean, Zach has reported a lot of news that has been correct, that has been accurate. He has broken a lot of stories since he's been on the Jets beat. So I'm not going to assassinate his character as a reporter. I'm also not going to sit here and say that, Jon Gruden is definitively lying. The reality is we don't know, but it is clear the sources that gave Zach the story, they were trying to make the Jets look poorly. Again, it's multiple sources he said that this happened from, right? The initial tweet you see on the screen is the Jets reached out to Jon Gruden about the idea of joining Glenn's staff. According to multiple sources, Gruden wasn't interested in the job. So we don't know the truth. I do think Jon Gruden is smart enough to know how the game works from this point. If the Jets reached out, that means they're interested, right? That means ownership gave Aaron Glenn the approval to reach out to Jon Gruden, who's currently suing the NFL and has essentially been blackballed from the sport since he was fired that year with the Raiders when they were 3-2 and Rich Bisaccia took over. Like Aaron Glenn can't reach out to Gruden unless ownership is on board. So I think Jon Gruden is smart enough to realize why publicly embarrass the Jets, because there's a chance if Glenn doesn't succeed, he's out of a job. Well, then maybe the Jets are my way to potentially get back in the league as a head coach or not as an OC for a lame duck staff. Like there's levels to all this. So I'm glad you brought that up because I think Jon is smart enough to realize, hey, if I don't embarrass the Jets publicly, that maybe gets me in the good graces of the Johnson family a year from now when I'm trying to get back in as a head coach.
He's probably one of the savviest coaches who has ever come through the league. I mean, he has media experience too. Let's not forget.
He knows how the game works.
He knows how it works, number one. But all you could do as fans and other media, onlookers is look for motive and look for patterns. It does fit the bit. I mean, if you're Gruden, you're not going to burn a bridge. That's a motive for potentially denying it.
He probably has respect for Aaron Glenn. He obviously coached in the era Glenn was playing in.
Yep. And number two, look for patterns. The Jets have gone after the veteran offensive play caller here. Have they not?
I mean, look at the list of interviews for the offensive coordinator role.
Right. So, look, flip a coin. It could be true. It could be not. I don't see. I guess I'm blessed in this sense. I rarely care about the per report thing. We don't do that stuff at JetX. It will have to put out news every now and then to be a third party to aggregate it, quote unquote, best word to put it, I guess, with the news, with the rumors, with the transactions, all that good stuff, free agency, draft. But, it is what it is. I think the bottom line is just try to understand how the game works. And then you could think better about it.
Jon Gruden, future Jet head coach in 2027, perhaps, Robby Sabo?
I wouldn't be a fan. I'll say that. I wouldn't be a fan.
How come?
Yeah, again, you just want to, you want to, everything about the Jets, I think, their struggles in the last 15 years, it's just a lack of the light being flicked on in terms of, we're playing a different game than the rest of the league. We're stuck trying to emulate what we last experienced as joy, the high point, Rex Ryan. Gruden, while he's an offensive coach, and I'm not saying he can't have success, it's a tough sell for me. He's been out of the league for long stretches. His last stint with the Raiders didn't work out too well. Now, the argument from fans is, hey, who are the Jets going to get? That would be the argument. I'll take Gruden because they can't get anyone else. I don't buy it from a head coaching perspective. 1 of 32 is 1 of 32. If you're a head coach for the Jets, okay, it's not as great as head coach for the Steelers or Packers, what have you, but you're still the boss. Head coach means you are the boss. So that is not unattractive. That's attractive. Assistant coach for the Jets, for a head coach who is perceived as lame duck, that is very, very unattractive. We have to delineate between head coach and assistant. It's very, very different.
100%. Comments, questions, super chats, cut the line. Delray Doc writes in, thanks for the great coverage of our beloved Jets. Delray Doc, thank you very much. It's a football Friday on the show. The Super Bowl is next Sunday. We will be live from the Bay Area all next week, bringing you the latest on Super Bowl 60. And of course, some great interviews that are related to the state of the Jets. We had so many great ones a year ago when we were out in New Orleans. The year before that, we were in Vegas. So this will be our third Super Bowl Radio Row experience as a YouTube show. So be on the lookout for great coverage. We're presented by FanDuel Sportsbook, and in honor of Sam Darnold becoming the first QB from the 2018 draft to reach the Super Bowl, today's daily raffle prize is a signed Jets football by Sam Darnold. So we will pay homage to the one that got away, but the one that we are certainly all rooting for in the Super Bowl next week.
Hey,
signed Sam Darnold football.
I was right in the end. I had Darnold number 1 in the class that year. Oh, man, I was right. I had Allen second, and I had a man named Josh Rosen third, but will not pay attention to that one.
Man, what a career he had. I believe he's like an investment banker now, Josh Rosen.
Who is that? What he's doing now? Holy jeez.
Yep. If you want to enter the raffle, make sure you gift a membership or you send in a $10 super chat or higher to qualify. Again, when you enter any daily raffle, we'll give people 2 shows today to enter this one and the afternoon one. Then we'll spin the wheel. You also will be qualified in our weekly raffle. Our top prize this upcoming week is a signed Garrett Wilson helmet, a signed CJ Mosley jersey, and a signed Joe Klecko jersey. Comments, questions, super chats, cut the line. Robbie, give us your take on the Duke of defense, Brian Duker, being hired by Aaron Glenn to be the Jets' next defensive coordinator.
Such a pain in the ass. I have a friend, longtime friend since we were kids, like first grade. I still talk to him all the time, and his name is Duke Williams. So now with this hire, I got to think about my dumbass friend every time his name is brought up. That's a tragedy, number one. Number two, it's impossible to know what type of job he's going to do. He was just a pass game coordinator. He didn't call plays. Obviously, we don't anticipate him calling plays with the Jets. So with this Jets defense, what do I expect moving forward? Pretty much more of the same. I mean, man coverage, get after the quarterback, bring pressure. I know they didn't do a ton of that this past season. I think it was based more on circumstance. I think they wanted to. In Wilkes, I think Glenn hires coaches, and we saw it with Wink. I don't know how that fizzled out. I've heard stories, but I think Glenn chooses defensive coaches and even players to some degree, Fields, in the way he wants to envision his team working, within that strict box, as opposed to having a little versatility, having a little conformity in terms of matching what wins today in terms of those trends. And he even called plays like that in Detroit. They were a heavy man all 4 years. I think only one of the years it was a little lighter in 2022. You could look that up. Sharp Football has those man zone stats. I anticipate 4-3. They do run 3-4 principles, Glenn, at times in Detroit, but by and large, it's 4-3, man heavy, press, get in your face. And there's not much versatility or flexibility. That's just what he loves, and that's what I anticipate this season.
Comments, questions, super chats, cut the line. The Duke of defense, Brian Duker, is the Jets' defensive coordinator. Doc Jet fan checks in. We have a Doc Jet fan and a Delray Doc. One of them is called the show. I'm not sure which one is which, though, but appreciate both of you for your support on the channel. It means a lot. This super chat is for $10, which means 2 raffle tickets for Doc Jet fan. We're going to give away a signed Sam Darnold football on the show today. In what universe is it possible that the Jets, who had the least competitive December in the history of the NFL, have had an even worse and more embarrassing January? AG did not walk into a rebuild. And that's the thing that people that try to defend Glenn say, oh, they're rebuilding. This wasn't a rebuild. His moves and decisions turned it into a rebuild. There was existing talent on this team that needed to be coached up. The poor decision with Fields and everything that led to that one, some of the free agent decisions, some of the poor in-game decisions that led to the 0-7 start, that's what set the stage for blowing the whole thing up and quote-unquote tanking down the stretch. And then, well, what did you really tank for, right? You have the second overall pick and a perceived 1 QB draft. So you just look at where the Jets are right now, and I feel your pain, Doc, Jet fan, because I think it was Brian Costello who said it feels like the Jets are down 21-0 in January. And I'm like, well, they should be used to that because that's their specialty. And that's kind of what it's felt like now for a long time.
Yeah, I was going to lead with that tweet. That's one of the best tweets in a while from Costello there. That was pretty good.
It's crazy, man. Because again, like if the Jets, if Glenn's plan was he's going to call the defense, and right away he acted swiftly with bringing a young up and coming guy, and it's clear he's taking on a role, I think we'd be like, all right, that makes sense. Fine. So be it. Like, go down on your shield doing what got you the job in the first place. But the process to getting there, right? You hire the Duke of Defense, 18 hours after you spoke to him for the first time over Zoom when he wasn't part of the initial list of 8 candidates. So from that to everything that then went down with the Tanner Engstrand situation, that was the biggest thing, by the way, talking with people at the Senior Bowl, people with teams, agents, other media people, like just the perception of the Jets, how they handled the assistant coaches being fired 3 weeks after the season. Like that painted them in a horrible light. Like coaches don't want to work for your organization when that's how you treat them. Like I was talking to agents about that. So I think between the Engstrand thing, the assistants being hired as late as they were, just how chaotic it is to get to the Duke of Defense in the first place, it just feels like a total mess. And that this head coach is just rudderless and making it up as he goes along.
Yeah, the December stuff is a thing. I'm not going to say it's not a thing, but I think it's far below the other troubling stuff. Like Glenn, when he took over, he was authoritative and he was confident and he knew what he wanted and it was a straight line path. He knew what he was doing. Okay, cool. No problem. Handle the quarterback thing the way you did. Okay, that's your prerogative. Cool. No problem. He saw some good signs in camp in terms of getting back to fundamentals. Loved that stuff. Loved it. Other good things, organization. Good. Okay, love it. Cool, no problem. It always comes down to week strategy. It always comes down to that willingness to dodge the jab and jab back yourself. And I just keep going back to week 1 is always chaotic in the NFL, always. But week 2, when you're playing the divisional rival Bills, who you should be really familiar with a superstar quarterback, you just get swiped at the 50-yard line, and you're standing there in your underwear. You didn't change anything from week 1 to week 2. The tendencies remain the same. McDermott and Buffalo went into the game saying, okay, they're stubborn and they want to rush the ball, and they're going to do it no matter what. And they want to play man coverage, and they're going to play a lot of single high cover 1. And it was like taking candy from them. It was so easy. So that is the biggest thing to me, just not understanding that it is so chalkboardish, this league, where you have to switch things up and you have to use September in a way where identities are important in the NFL. But to me, you don't find your identity until October. You have to use that first month to figure it out and try different ways to go about it. And they didn't even have a clue that was the way to approach it. And that's the thing that sticks with me the most.
Hit the like button if you're tuned in. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I want to thank everyone who continues to tune in to all our content. We are all in this one together. And again, for those of you who tuned in late, in honor of the Super Bowl, we have a Sam Darnold signed football across both shows today, up for grabs in the Asmaniac raffle. I mean, what do you make of the Engstrand situation? We got the super chat here from Mace B, who writes in, still up watching tennis to Sabo, liked the firing of Tanner, thought he was unlucky with trash QB play, wanted to see more of him with a better QB. Your thoughts on Engstrand ultimately getting demoted? And then I don't think anyone should be surprised he gets demoted and doesn't want to stick around, or whatever happens that leads to him being fired. Like, you removed the play calling responsibilities. Obviously, he's not going to want to stick around. He's a young coach that's trying to go somewhere that's not a sinking ship.
Yeah, the Tanner one's crazy. The timing of it is very crazy to me. I don't get it. It is impossible to look. I'm not one of those guys who were getting the pom poms out for Tanner. I don't think he did a great job this past season. But I'm also not going to totally blame it on the quarterback either. That's not quarterback is very, very important. But having said that, you can't just say it's all about the quarterback. Nonsense. With Fields playing the way he did this year, it's a far stretch in terms of dip, in terms of that season he had in Chicago, that second year, I think it was, where he rushed for over 1,000 yards. The offense was tailored to Fields. Make no mistake about that. I keep hearing people saying that they ran a conventional, traditional offense for Fields. No, they did not. It was very tailored to Fields. I think the problem is once he got, do you hear those sirens? Who's that?
That would be the madness that is New York City right now.
It's Big Apple. Once he got hurt in week 2, everything changed. So we got to factor that in. And Fields himself, look, you got to wonder, when they signed him, did they promise him the job? We talked about it at the time, number one. And number two, was there something in the works in terms of, hey, I want to try to play like a traditional guy instead of running all the time to maintain my health? That's the other thing. So while Engstrand did put an offense in that was tailored to Fields, it wasn't traditional. They didn't capitalize like they needed to with Fields' legs, if that makes sense.
Comments, questions, super chats. They cut the line. Robby Sabo with us here. If you have a question, Jet related, make sure you write it in. If you want to make fun of him for his love of the Rangers, getting their tails kicked by the Islanders all season long.
I got no bullets left. There's nothing I could say.
I'll certainly be reading those comments as well. Zedward says Gruden will be the Jets' next head coach in 2027. I don't rule it out again. I think Jon Gruden, the fact that his name is out there, and I lean with Gruden just trying to take the high road and not embarrass the Jets. I do think the Jets called him. That's me personally. That's my belief. People could say, no, it never happened. I think Gruden is just trying to protect the Jets and do right by the organization. They reached out. He wasn't interested. He doesn't want to embarrass them by saying, yeah, I'm good, because I think there's a chance he could be the head coach in 2027. I don't know if he's the favorite, but wouldn't shock me if he's one of the candidates. I mean,
never know.
I wouldn't be stunned.
Yeah, you never know. It's reached a point where it looks really dark and bleak right now. I think once that opening happens, names come out of the woodwork. But again, if you're in the situation, you have to identify guys early. Kubiak, you know, I got made fun of earlier in the season for mentioning this guy's name time and again. You just have to take a chance at time. McCown, last spring, people were getting on me. Whoa, what has McCown ever done? I don't know if he's going to be a great quarterback, but you have to go with the percentages and odds and see who they've been with and how they're tracking, and you just have to take a chance. So it's never as bleak and as dark as it looks. But yeah, Gruden, it tracks. It makes sense.
Robby Sabo is our guest. If you want to call into the show, now is the time as well. The Gustbuster Umbrella Hotline is linked in the comments. The Real 2 Cruisin' writes in, good morning, everyone. Question of the day. Do you believe Gruden? And is it possible Woody wanted Gruden for something other than working for Glenn? It certainly is possible that Woody would be interested in Jon Gruden to be the team's head coach. We don't know for sure. Again, Gruden saying it didn't happen. I lean with there was some sort of informal talks. Maybe Glenn reached out and Gruden just said, I'm okay. I'm good. I'm happy with where I am right now. And that's the end of it. And then I think Jon Gruden, understanding how the game works, understanding, you know, how important relationships are with an owner, especially in his case, if he's going to get back in, by him denying, he could save the Jets from the public embarrassment of, oh, Gruden rejected them. You know, I really think there's a strong possibility that's what happened here.
It makes sense. And based on the timing of the firings and Engstrand and Wink, how that all fell apart, dude, nothing would surprise me, honestly.
Super chat from Joey in the Asmaniac raffle for 2. AG reminds me of a con man when he talks to the media and keeps burning bridges left and right when head coaches are supposed to build bridges in order to succeed. This is why no one of note wants to come here. Well, I think the biggest reason why no one of note wants to come here is people were flabbergasted Glenn wasn't fired after his first season. Like, again, most people thought he should have been fired. I'm not talking about fans. I'm talking about just people around the league were shocked he wasn't fired. Now he's going into year 2. He's on the hottest of seats, and the only coach you could find that fired both coordinators after their first year is Hugh Jackson. Like, that's where we're at. So I think that's the biggest reason why Glenn's struggling to get big-name coaches to want to come here, because they don't want to sign up to basically have 1 year of stability and then be looking for a job a year from now.
Yeah, that you got to think about it from the human perspective. It's brutal to move and then relocate and then not know the future. So yeah, again, we have to delineate between head coach being the boss and assistant. It's worlds apart. It's alien versus human. It really is, and it's a big deal. I think you're spot on.
Hit the like button if you're one of the 500 people in here on YouTube, and big shout out to everyone who's listening via the podcast as well. Again, we are available on Apple or Spotify. So if you ever missed the show, you can listen back to anything you might have missed. John writes in, we need a badass president of football operations to oversee Glenn. I agree. I've talked about this. I know you and I have talked about this. Like, I think what Tony Baselli does in Jacksonville as basically like the eyes and ears for Shad Khan, the owner, is smart. Matt Ryan doing that in Atlanta now for the Atlanta Falcons. Like, does Woody have someone he could trust that could shoot him straight and be like, hey, your GM and coach are doing this wrong. This is BS. They're fooling you with what they're telling you, what they're selling you here. Again, Woody, I don't think there's a whole lot of football people he can lean on, which is why you bring in a guy like Mike Tannenbaum, who he fired half a decade ago or a decade and a half ago to oversee your coach and GM search in the first place.
Agreed. And, I don't want to litigate the whole 33rd team with Tannenbaum, but it just made no sense from the start. Why?
And you were right. I fought you on it. I was like, well, they're
Did you?
just giving recommendations. Yeah, I was like, I didn't think it was that big of a deal because I didn't trust Woody to make the hire. But, it obviously led us to Aaron Glenn. So I was dead wrong on that.
I don't remember. But I understand that perspective because I don't trust the owner. I don't trust Woody. But it's just you let so much extra stuff have the potential to get in the way. Like, he's in the media. They cover the NFL. Like, why? Go the Curtis Martin route. Just have that one genuine football dude you could rely upon and really trust. And you'll be so much better for it. It's not that difficult to identify guys. If you watch tape and you have that guy, it's really not that difficult. Kubiak, he's going to be a monster. He's going to be a great head coach in this league. Now, I don't know if I would say that 20 years ago. It was very, very different. But based on what moves the needle so much in today's league, he's going to be a great head coach.
Comments, questions, super chats. This one's from our guy, Common Country. Mike Tannenbaum's football expertise has been tainted from all the time he spends with Stephen A. Smith.
Look, Jets fans should always feel good about Tannenbaum. Let's start there. He was a Parcells guy. He rose the ranks. He became GM with Mangini. They did a hell of a job those 3 years. Okay. That should never be taken away from him. He should always have a soft landing spot in the hearts of Jets fans. However, you just have to realize where he came from. He was always a cap guy. He was always a financial guy. He was never a personnel guy. And then the Rex years, they had the talent. That roster was loaded. Let's make no mistake about it. And then the 2012 CBA happens. They started falling a little bit before that. Victor Cruz, 2011, and then things fell apart. And then the wheels came off. Idzik, everyone's going to blame Idzik, but no, they started happening with Tannenbaum. So I think he always has that special place, but being objective, yeah, there's criticisms.
I saw this tweet yesterday from Dom C at the Senior Bowl. It's a photo of Mike Tannenbaum standing next to Jim Harbaugh. But Jim, my process looks so good for the Jets. Help me, help you.
Jim is he's successfully morphed into the old man coach we all knew he'd be. Like, he's got that look, man. John's not quite there yet, but Jim is there. And it's, if you know coaching families, and they're a coaching family, they live for it. You'll have to pry their dead cold hands away from coaching to get them away. That's just who they are. It's inevitable. Like, if you know coaching families, it's inevitable. You get that look.
Super chats cut the line around here. Appreciate everyone who's tuned into the show. We'll get to your calls coming up right now. Robby Sabo joining us. A Sam Darnold signed football is the prize today, and only one person is gifted a membership so far. So today's a great opportunity to win a signed item on today's show. Let's start it off.
And by the way, real quick, I'm going back to 2024 Detroit Lions defense. I'm watching some Glenn stuff. So if anyone has any questions about Glenn's defense, shout him out.
Good question or good take there from Sabo. So hopefully that leads to some comments or questions on that.
I understand why people say 3-4 principles. He runs mostly 4-3, but when it's 11 personnel, he'll go tight. Penny, he'll go 3, he'll go 0 tech sometimes.
Zedward says AG didn't hire a DC, hired a scapegoat. Well, he's calling the plays this year, though. If you want to say Wilkes was the scapegoat last year, he scapegoated Wilkes. He 100% did. He fired him and said, we're running the Wilkes scheme. When it's like, dude, you're the head coach. Like, step up. You're defensive guy. Your defense is one of the worst in the league. It shouldn't have been. There was real talent on the defense. Completely unacceptable by the head coach, but we don't need to relitigate that.
Yeah, it's I go back 2022. I found an article I wrote when they fired LaFleur, and it wasn't so much about LaFleur to me as it was, oh man, this is the first sign that the united front with Douglas leading it from the top, that new structure, GM in boss of everything, in charge of everything, he's the football boss, has been disrupted. And it feels kind of the same right now, too, to be honest.
Let's get to some calls, shall we? Philly Noodles is first today. What's up, Philly?
Morning, gentlemen. How you doing?
Philly.
What's up?
What's going on? So, quick questions for you guys, Robbie. So, two things I want to bring up. When it comes to Frank Reich as possibly an option, if it's, moving that way, what do we think of what he can surround the QB with? First off, it to me would scream, obviously, you need a veteran option. And I don't want the desperation thing to continue where obviously, they may think Kyler Murray's an option. So they may get desperate and move, picks we should not.
Yeah, but it'll be low level. This is just a hunch. This is just a guess. And I said this to Jake the other day. I would think Glenn wants Kyler Murray. If I'm trying to put myself in Glenn's shoes and brain in terms of what I've seen the last year, it would make sense that he goes hard after Murray without trying to give much up.
Yeah,
I think that's just a guess.
Yeah, and I think for cap stands that would suck, obviously. So, in my mind, all right, so if he focuses, Reich can focus in on him and he's dealing with a veteran, maybe you get some, plausibility to say, okay, whatever happens the first year with that situation, I still think they have to churn out, 7-8 wins for everyone to stay put. So my next issue in my mind is what I'm dealing with is now let's get into like you're in the draft situation, you're in the draft scenario. Moogie, like I feel like Glenn wants to hitch himself to Moogie, and in a scenario where I think Moogie is going to have to start pulling himself separately from that situation inside the room, because there's no way in heck that you're a Moogie and you want to sit there and look at that. You have 5 first-round picks coming up that you want him to just eradicate any smart decisions. I mean, Kyler Murray lets you then pick everything around that, but then financially speaking, you're taking on what's his cap hit, you know what I mean? To me, it's like next year you have to take on a swing on a quarterback. I don't think Kyler Murray is just going to turn into some 10-win quarterback all of a sudden again now here with an older style playbook, with a non-innovative head coach / offensive coordinator in Reich. I feel like it'll stink and it'll be an expensive stink again, almost like Fields 2.0, right? Where you can get something out of the guy and you hope you twist it into something good. I don't know. It's just a really bad idea, I think. And Reich can't even take a rookie quarterback and make that situation taste good, because what he just did in Carolina, I don't want to hold any man to that, but it's like we just saw what happened when you did that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. What you guys take on
it? Jake, how do you feel about Reich?
I think the game has passed him by. If you could have added Reich to the staff and kept Engstrand for his play design, and Reich would work with the quarterbacks, I think that would logically make sense. But handing over the keys to Frank Reich, whose time in the NFL has been trending downward and has not been in the NFL in the last 2 years. I just don't see how this ends well.
I think it's like with the Engstrand thing too. They don't consider what kind of restrictions, what kind of vision did the head coach put on the OC as well. Like OCs and DCs rarely operate independently of the head coach. It comes from a structure that's built already. It comes from that vision. Like we see the concepts and plays on Sunday. That is the last thing. That's the end result. It starts way before that. It starts with mentality. It starts with identity. It starts with all that stuff. So that's another question I have with Engstrand. Now, going the opposite way, if that verbiage is true, looking for a head coach of the offense, I don't like that either. Like, why go the opposite extreme? No, the head coach has to be involved in the offense. It just has to be more versatile and flexible and bending in certain ways, you know?
I feel like a dark horse then in that situation could be Linda Wells. You know, just because first off, he just did that Shrine Bowl, winning in the Shrine Bowl. I think Glenn might see that as a positive. He was able to, you know, get those dudes to win. Tight ends coach, I don't know how much, you know, per se he could have in a quarterback room, but it also means he's going to bring fresh minds possibly, right? I think that would be true. And also with Greg Roman, with Kyler Murray, with the speed ability, I think that kind of marries. So,
dude, I've always been a Greg Roman fan, and he takes a lot of hate, but if he has a mobile quarterback, he's the best in the game. Kaepernick, Lamar, Herbert, he's not the right guy for Herbert. Let's just be real. That was the right move. Getting rid of him for McDaniel, that's scary. What they have right there. And also Daboll. Is Daboll official with Tennessee? Did that happen?
Yeah.
Saleh could have a shot, man, because Daboll is a hell of a quarterbacks coach. I'd like that pairing for Saleh. So, yeah, I don't know much. Frank has been out of sight, out of mind, and I haven't watched anything of his recently. So I don't love it. I'll say that.
I mean, he wasn't great at Stanford. He wasn't great with Carolina, and his success. Oh, Philly. Well, he didn't call the plays then. So again, like Frank Reich's been around football a long time, and I'll root for him because he's a former Jet. He's a Long Island guy. You know, you want to see a guy like that do well. It's just no other team is dying to even interview Frank Reich. And like, we're just going to hand the keys to him on offense. And here's my other issue too with the Reich hire. What happened to Aaron Glenn being the coach of the whole team? Right? I'm not a defensive coach. I'm a football coach. What happened to that? Now he's going around talking to candidates and reportedly saying he's looking for a head coach of the offense. And now he's going to call the defense. Like, again, it's like he was hired on his ability to hire a great staff. That's proven to be a joke. He fired all his staff after a year besides the special teams coaches. It's just, it's a mess, man. I don't know how anyone can feel confident with Frank Reich.
If I were Curtis Martin and I were hired in that president role, confidant for Woody, I would tell him this: avoid the extremes. And what I mean by that is okay, it didn't work with Glenn being the CEO type head coach. Now we got to try the other thing and have two coaches, basically, one of the offense, one of the defense. No, just avoid the extremes and just follow what works in the NFL and be flexible and run everything offensively through the lens of quarterback efficiency, because it's never been easier to complete passes, the completion percentage and short passing. And then defensively, you have to play zone match. I don't care if you love man. You could play man. That's fine. You could preach man. You could practice man. But you have to have some semblances. I'm not saying Glenn doesn't. Of course he does. It's just the percentages have been a little too mannish from my perspective. You have to run more split fields and use the situation and use the game flow to your advantage. In the NFC Championship game, that 4th and 1 the Rams had, where Stafford scrambled up the middle and got the first down. It's 8 minutes left in the game. Seattle's up 4. It's 4th and 1. Lumen Field is going nuts. If you're a head coach, you're going to be amped up. You want to put a call in. If we stop these guys, we're going to be in a great spot. 4th and 1. Kyron Williams in the backfield. It's 11 personnel, so it's spread out a little bit. McVay does the right thing. But what does McDonald do? He puts a defense out there which has no shot to stop the run. He basically said, okay, McVay, if you run it here, you're going to get the first down. I'm not concerned with that. I'm going to bow up at the goal line and play red zone defense, because if I try to stop the run here and bring guys up, I'm going to give you a golden opportunity to go over the top and take the lead. That's this game. You have to concede in certain spots. And If anyone hasn't seen it, go back. About 8 minutes left, 4th and 1. Look at the defense McDonald put out. It's basically conceding the run. They didn't run it. They passed it. Stafford scrambled, got the first down, but that's an example of what you have to do defensively in terms of the mentality. It's about the mentality.
So I would say, and it's the last thing I'll say, and then I'll let you guys go, is it seems like the name of the game right now, like you explained, Robbie, is flexibility at all levels. And let's see how flexible Woody's wallet could be trying to drag people here. So I'm excited for free agency, and hopefully you're right, Robbie, and they get some flexibility on both sides of the staff. All right.
Yeah, he needs Samuel L. Jackson's wallet from Pulp Fiction. That's what he needs.
They don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
That's kind of how it feels right now.
That's good.
Let's see. We got some super chats, then right back to your calls. But first, Weeb the Dweeb became a channel member, and then he gifted someone else a channel membership. So that's 2 raffle tickets for Weeb the Dweeb. Thank you, Weeb. You checking in. What up, Bo? I hate where we're at right now. However, AG does historically improve given time. Is there a world where he improves and potentially rights the ship? I mean, anything can happen, but again, you'd be banking on a historic outlier. I've given so many stats that tell you how big of an outlier Glenn would be if he ever turned out to be a good head coach.
Yeah.
And there's even worse stats that have emerged based on how he's handled this offseason, where you can only talk about Hugh Jackson firing both coordinators after year 1. That's the only recent example anyone could find.
Yeah, it doesn't look good, but I'll paint a picture. He has to drop the conviction to some degree. And all coaches have conviction. They're confident, what have you, but you got to drop the conviction to really self-reflect, drop the conviction and conform to what's happening around you. You can't play man because you love it. You can't blitz because you love it. You can't have a rushing offense, no questions asked, because you love it. I mean, is the end goal wanting a rushing offense? Yes. But you don't get there by shoving it down the throats of the entire roster in the entire league. That's just not the way it goes. You have to drop the conviction and add more deception in terms of what you envision for your team. Deception is the name of the game.
Ted trying to manifest Glenn being canned goes, breaking news, Glenn gets fired. I mean, everyone gets fired. It's just a matter of when. Like
everyone, even in life,
let's see. BP with a super chat. AG destroying the Jets the same way Phil Jackson destroyed the Knicks. Don't let Glenn make the picks. Again, this is why part of the reason I'd argue Glenn should have been one and done, because you have all these picks coming up here. Get someone else that could be a part of the future. So you're drafting players for that particular coach and not having to take 4 players this year if they use their 4 picks in the top 44 and then hope that they fit the next coach's master scheme, either offensively or defensively, if it doesn't work out. I mean, this is like when the Jets allowed Mike McCagnon to make all the picks and spend all the money and then fired him in June. And Joe Douglas took over in 2019. It wasn't his team that year. So, yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. You got to hope that Muji is able to still just find good football players. And he did a decent job with the first 3 picks in this past year's draft with Glenn. But, we're talking about the 2nd overall pick in the draft. Like, this is not pick 7 even. Like, it's number 2, and there's no obvious, like, you got to take this guy player there. So that's where the first big test starts.
It's good. It's going to be interesting to see who he goes with, knowing that Glenn's going to call plays, because does he go with the Reese, who could be a monster in space and does fit the 3-4 outside linebacker mold? He could play anywhere, honestly. But does he think Bain could be that 3-4 D? See, you can't pick a guy thinking, okay, he fits this mold, 3-4 D end, like a Sean Ellis. He's much lighter than Sean Ellis, if I remember correctly. Maybe I'm off, but you can't do it because it's going to be multiple. It's hybrid. These guys, there's no one set front 3-4-4-3. It's just principles basically, but it'll still be interesting to see because it's going to be a defender most likely.
No doubt about it. Let's get to more of your calls.
Jake Asman is a radicalizer. He takes a fan who's mildly annoyed and turns them into a foaming at the mouth lunatic for 3 hours, then reads super chats about it. He doesn't cover the Jets. He covers the argument about the Jets. And he's basically a rage DJ. He doesn't create the anger. He just remixes it louder and sells $2 super chats.
What's up, Jake?
It's
What's
the
up,
best
Robbie?
opening sentence ever. Jake Asman's a radicalizer.
I'm a rage DJ.
Yeah.
Love it, love
Yeah.
it. Look, if the reports are true that Aaron Glenn actually reached out to Jon Gruden for the OC job, that in and of itself is a fireable offense. This is like, a fat, ugly, drunk guy wandering into a bar at 3 a.m., seeing a supermodel at the end of the bar and going, maybe she'll go home with me. Like the inability to read the room
There's
and to
something wrong with
think
that.
that it's just like anyone who has seen Jon Gruden over the last 25 years knows that like he's the alpha in the room, right? Like he's not going to answer to anyone. He's not taking pointers from Aaron Glenn. For him to even think that he would take the phone call is like it just shows a lack of awareness that's like you're not qualified for the job that you're in. Like it's so absurd to me.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I mean, the best thing you could say is, hey, they shot their shot, right?
Shoot or shoot. I mean, at least they tried. I guess you could spin it that way. To me, it just kind of just shows like a lack of a real plan, right? Like
yeah.
Gruden hasn't coached in a long time in the NFL. I'm not saying he couldn't be a good OC. Obviously, keeps up with the sport. He's a quarterback guy. He still talks to all these guys every year. But it just feels like it's like a desperate attempt to get someone. So you could say, hey, you're shooting your shot, but Aaron Glenn was hired in part because, according to Mike Tannenbaum, his ability to hire a great staff and coaches wanting to work with him. That means he should be aware of who the up-and-coming top coaches are and hire a great staff, and that couldn't have gone worse in year one. So I think that's where the concern is more than just reaching out to Jon Gruden.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, there's a big difference between being out of the league and keeping up with the sport as opposed to being on a coaching staff. It is there's a learning curve. I don't care how many years you've been out, especially today, because so much of it is digital. So much of it is just pouring over tape.
Yeah, and the more Tannenbaum talks about the process for evaluating his coaches and how they under-indexed on X's and O's and over-indexed on the ability to build a staff, it's like you're burying Aaron Glenn the more you talk, because with 8 or 9 coaches at this point that have been turned over in the first 12 months, it's like, well, the entire reason why you brought him on in the first place has been completely destroyed. So he's proven in the first 12 months he doesn't know how to build a staff if there's this much turnover. So why is he still here?
Yeah, dude, and I couldn't believe it when I saw that tweet. I didn't even see this last year. I saw it the other day. I thought it was new. They hired him. I heard this last year. They hired him based on his leadership as opposed to X's and O's. And by the way, Glenn isn't a dummy with X's and O's. Like he could call defense. Let's not get it twisted. It's just not, upper echelon. And they poured over 30 years of data and trends. Nothing before 2012 matters anymore. Nothing.
Yeah.
That's such a opposite backward path to take. I couldn't believe it. That was the one I couldn't believe.
Yep. Mike Tannenbaum used to have a picture hanging up in his office, something along the lines of like, if you don't have data, you're just another person with an opinion. And it's like, well, the data in this case didn't seem to help you narrow in on the right coach, but that's neither here nor there.
The data should tell you pre-2012 is pretty much meaningless. That's what the data should tell you, because it's a different sport. It's a different game. You can't hit guys. Got to understand that.
100%. When this draft comes around, the Jets cannot let Aaron Glenn have any voice in that room. And you're talking about like, is it Arvell Reese at 2? Is it Bailey? I keep seeing that like Aaron Glenn prefers these bigger edges, which would kind of lean you more towards a Ruben Bain type who might be like a multiple front guy, or and there's a couple of big edges in this class. But like the last thing that I want to happen is for them to start building this defense around Aaron Glenn's vision, and then having the next coach have to come in here only to find out, well, Ruben Bain doesn't fit my scheme, so he's not really a fit, or David Bailey isn't the edge I wanted, or Arvell Reese isn't really the type of linebacker I want. Like we saw it this year, where it's like Quincy Williams is not a scheme fit for every defense, right? But he's an all-pro linebacker in the solid type scheme. Same thing with Jermaine Sherwood. And it's like these guys are completely lost out there. And like I just am not of the belief that these guys forgot how to play linebacker in 2 years. And now you're in this situation where it's like Aaron Glenn is forcing his ethos on the talent that he has in front of you. At some point, and this is my beef with guys like Herm, right? Like he's a cover 2 guy. He has no use for a Darrelle Revis type. It's like if you can't figure out how to leverage a Darrelle Revis or a Quincy Williams or a Jermaine Sherwood, like you're not fit to be a coach. At some point, you have to coach the 53 that you have and not the 53 that you wish you had.
Let me make you feel better. So back in the day with Herm, it mattered a lot more because teams were more stuck in identities and they could play and deception wasn't as high in terms of winning. Today, shouldn't matter at all. So whoever they draft, the next coach, if he's worth his salt, could use the guy. Like it doesn't, everyone plays the same way defensively. They really do.
Yeah.
Like it's, I'm not saying it's 100% doesn't matter. In certain cases, of course it does. But by and large, man, it's really overblown. And if the argument is Glenn needs his guys to win, that is just, again, that's 2005. That's not today.
Yeah, it built in.
How many guys did Mike Vrabel bring with him? Like he brought no one from the Titans. Like look at it. I think there's one player that overlapped with him, or 1 or 2 players I saw.
Yeah.
And you know the first free agent signing is going to be Anzalone coming here from Detroit.
Yep.
And you know, like I just it's like he's a 32-year-old linebacker. You know, these guys, like, what does he have? Another year or 2 of production left. This isn't like when Rex brought in Bart Scott at 28 years old or 27 years old, right? Like we knew we overpaid for Bart Scott at the time, but you got an identity, you got some personality on the defense, you got a thumper, a guy who could take on blockers, support in the run game. I'm worried they're going to blow their free agency dollars and start trying to give Glenn what he needs.
That's valid. And it's weird. Like whenever a bad team, usually teams with money were bad teams, but when you have this much money, you're going to blow it some way or another. You know what I mean? It's very hard not to. It really is.
Yeah. Last point I'll make here, the whole process for bringing on Duker is just completely bizarre to me, right? Like you identified your top 8 candidates. You brought Wink Martindale in for an in-person interview. At the 11th hour, you get on a Zoom call with Duker and end up being being the one you hire. I suspect, and again, this is pure speculation, but if his plan was to bring on Frank Reich, he's not coming here for free. I don't know what he's going to make. Let's call it $5 million a year on probably a 2 or 3 year contract. So, $15 million total guaranteed. If the plan was to bring on Wink Martindale along with him, he's probably going to demand the same type of contract, right? Like these guys aren't coming here for $1 million, $2 million a year. At that point, if you're Woody Johnson, you're looking at like, okay, I've got $40 million due to Aaron Glenn. He wants to I've got to pay all these other coaches that we just let go. I've got to now pay a combined $10 million a year for Wink and Frank. Like, I'm not cutting that check, right? Like it's you're doubling down on what is a sunk cost at this point. I just think Woody said, you get one or the other. You're not getting, you're a defensive guy. You're not getting a $5 million OC, a $5 million DC. So pick one of the two. And it led Aaron Glenn to go, well, I've got this fixed budget. I'll hire the DC. I'll call the plays myself, and I'll bring in someone like a Frank Reich and try to make him the head coach of the offense. That's my working theory.
I agree with that. I mentioned that the other day because again, he's still paying Wilkes, who was a veteran DC. He's making whatever. You want Wink making, let's say, $3 to $4 million a year as well over at least 2 years. So do the math. That's at least like $7 to $8 million right there. And then you want Frank Reich. He's not going to be like, what do? You make $12 million a year, Aaron Glenn, between 10 and 12 and a half has been multiple reports. Like one of the higher paid coaches in the league, like double what Salo is making almost. What exactly do you do? So I think if Woody stepped in and said, you only get Reich, you don't get Wink, you call the plays. I don't blame Woody for that. Again, Glenn's lucky to have a job right now.
Yeah. And the other thing is this too, it might be a blessing in disguise for him calling the plays because it'll force him to be in the game, in the flow. I'm not saying he wasn't in the game previously as the non-play caller head coach, but again, these days are different, man. It's hard to find head coaches who don't. I know Vrabel's in the Super Bowl, but still, look around the league. Most of these guys are calling plays, and there's a reason.
Salah's like, I felt like a timeout and challenge guy, which it just tells me you just have no idea what the responsibilities are of a head coach if that's how you felt.
You
But Saleh should have
just
always
yeah.
been calling the plays on defense if that's the case.
You just hear everything through the headset, and if you don't speak up, you're not really doing like. It's a different world. Again, it's a different sport. I know people are sick of hearing it, but that's where it starts for the Jets. Just realizing how different it is, and I think this could be a blessing in disguise for Glenn.
Robbie, great stuff. I know you got to run. Appreciate you hopping on, and
yeah, I do.
Let's go Islanders, baby.
I won't fight you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the founder of Jets X Factor, Robby Sabo. Check out Jet X. I read it every day. They got the best team of content creators, writers. They cover all aspects of the Jets. We got some super chats, and we're going to get right back to your calls. For those of you tuning in late, in honor of Sam Darnold, we're giving away a signed Sam Darnold football across the shows today. Enter for your chance to win. We'll spin the wheel of champions, and someone will be sent the football that you see there on the screen. All Gilled Up writes in, how do you feel about Kirk Cousins, Greg Roman, and drafting Ty Simpson? I would not, I think, hire Greg Roman. Greg Roman would have made sense last year if their plan was to go with Fields, right? Like last year would have made sense to hire Greg Roman. I don't want Greg Roman now. If Greg Roman wants to be like the run game coordinator, awesome hire. But why would he do that? Maybe he would. I don't know. I don't know what offers Greg Roman has. As far as Ty Simpson, you know, funny enough, I got to connect with some people down there that know Ty really well when I was in Mobile. I like him. I've always liked him. I don't love him, though. And I don't love the Jets situation to develop him, right? If this was a different team, a different set of circumstances, say the Jets didn't have 3 firsts in 2027, then I'd say, you know what? If you want to take the swing on Ty Simpson, I get it. But given the fact next year's QB class, I personally believe will be better. Given the fact that Aaron Glenn is so firmly on the hot seat, it's not even funny. The idea of taking a college QB with 15 career starts who battled injuries this year and saying, oh, well, we're not going to play him, we're going to sit him. Does anyone actually trust the Jets to do what's right and sit him? Actually give Ty Simpson the proper development he needs? And let's say they actually do sit him for a while, but the Jets don't win any games and Glenn's out of a job anyway. Well, then next year you have a brand new coaching staff that didn't draft Ty Simpson. Do you know what you have? And even if you don't, but you might like him, wouldn't you just lean with getting your own guy, right? Joe Douglas got his own guy. He had Sam Darnold, and he said, you know what? I got to get my own guy. You know, like that's what these teams do. Glenn didn't want to keep Rodgers. He wanted his own guy. That was Justin Fields. Brilliant decision, obviously. But, like, that's what most of these coaches do. So I just don't think Ty Simpson fits the timeline. If you took him in the second round, that's a worthy swing. I think he's going in round 1, though. I do. He was at the Senior Bowl, by the way. I saw him. He just wasn't participating because he's still hurt. He's still banged up. He's going to test really well, though. He'll interview really well. He's the son of a coach, right? He's a Saban guy. Like, I have no doubt we'll start to hear buzz about, oh, Ty Simpson going in the top 5. Like, watch. It always happens. There'll be rumors about the Jets taking him at 2 by the time we get to April. I promise you that. That's just how this goes. But I don't think Ty Simpson is going to ultimately be drafted by the Jets at number 2. And I don't think he'll be there at 16 for them to take. As far as Kirk Cousins, he's a worthy option to kind of hold the fort and at least provide some stability to your offense. If the reports are accurate that Atlanta is leaning towards cutting him, I could see Cousins being a Jet, but he's going to have other options too. And would he choose the Jets over other options? I don't know. BP Fatio says, you know what? We read that one. Hold on. Armani in the raffle for 5 with this. Thank you, Armani. Isn't firing AG a moot point when Woody still owns the team? Woody hasn't hired a winning coach in 15 years. Jake, can you honestly say Woody Johnson would make a good hiring decision next year? If yes, what evidence can you point to? Well, obviously, he hasn't done it in a while. Gase wasn't his hire. Saleh and Douglas were not his hires. Bowles was. McCagnon was. Bowles only had that one 2015 year and it fell apart. Glenn looks like a disaster. Izek was his. It was a disaster. I mean, but this is the same owner that had a period from 2000 to 2016 where the Jets never had 2 straight losing seasons. You know, they made the playoffs 6 times in the 2000s. So I like Woody Johnson's a horrible owner, but do you really trust him to hire a good coach? No, but I'm not going to keep Aaron Glenn because of that. If I know I have the worst head coach in football, I'm not going to just keep that guy around. You keep swinging until you get it right. The Bills owners are a disaster as well, but they actually got it right with McDermott and Brandon Beane and then got Josh Allen out of that. You know, the Knicks were a joke. They had a 20-year rudderless era of adeptitude. But eventually Dolan hired Leon Rose and Tom Thibodeau. Like, you can't just keep a guy around because you don't trust the owner to hire someone better. You keep swinging, man. It's like drafting a quarterback. If you either have one or you don't. If you don't have a good head coach, you're cooked. You're not winning in this league. And Glenn's not even like an average head coach or a below average head coach. He was historically inept. So that's the argument of moving on. But now they're sticking with him, so you got to ride it out for one more year and hope that there's only maybe 5 openings around the league next year, because more than half the league will have a coach either wrapping up their first year or wrapping up their second year. And you got to hope that there's some opportunities for the Jets to be one of the more attractive jobs given their resources of cap space and draft picks. But do I trust Woody? Of course not. But that doesn't mean I'm just going to keep Aaron Glenn because I don't trust the owner. You can't do that. You got to hope that maybe Woody just looks at what the Giants just did and said, enough. Let me go get the top experienced guy. Maybe it's Kevin O'Connell. Maybe it's Shane Steichen. Maybe it's Sean McDermott. Maybe it's Mike Tomlin. These guys all could be available a year from now. And enough is enough. Spend the money and get out of the way. That's it. Don't spend the money and give Aaron Glenn all the power. He hasn't earned that. He's done nothing. Aaron Glenn's getting a 5-year contract. Why? Who was hiring him? Don't tell me the Saints. I know they weren't. I spoke to someone who would know this week in Mobile. So, again, like, I think Woody wants to win, but it's like the process how we keep getting here. It's like, why is Aaron Glenn having more power than even Robert Saleh had, right? Like, Robert Saleh reported to Joe Douglas. Why does Glenn be the final decision maker on football? With what experience? Has he been a GM before? Has he been a head coach before? You give that type of level of control to Mike Vrabel. You give that level of control to Shanahan, McVay, Reed. Like, those guys get the final say. Harbaugh. Oregon Jets in the raffle for 2. I'm tired of all the lies. We're going to let this head coach light 4 top 40 picks on fire. You hope not. You hope that Muji can draft some good players regardless who the coach is. Tom Roseman. Thank you, Tom. You're in the raffle for 1. Philly Noodle says, can Robbie speak more on Jay Whitmore hire? Let's go Jets. Philly, I appreciate you. Good call earlier. All right, we're going to get to more of your calls right now. Steady Eddie. Edward Ziff is on the line. What's up, Edward?
Oh, my God. Aaron Glenn, what an epic failure. Epic failure. Just look, right now, the Jets are probably the most attractive team to hire a head coach based on cap space and draft capital. But now that you kept Aaron Glenn, who was historically bad, and like you said, what has he shown he can do? He's only done one right thing, and that was Chris Banjo. Everything else has been piss off people, make the wrong choices. I mean, if this guy came to a fork in the road and the road to the right was the promised land, he took the road to the left on every choice he's made. I mean, just, and I understand Woody is bleeding cash. I mean, and that's the problem. That's part of the problem. I mean, he keeps regenerating and paying these guys that aren't in the system because he keeps picking the wrong guys. So I can understand where Woody is a little gun shy to just cut bait and fire this guy because he's afraid he's going to screw up on the next one. And then he'll have to pay Glenn for 4 or 5 years. He'll have to pay the next guy for 3, 4 years and the next guy for 3, 4 years. So, but he's created this by not getting the right guy at the right time. It's just, it's a dumpster fire with a shit show inside the dumpster fire. I mean, Jake, the other thing is, what kind of, one of the bigger mistakes that could happen this year is, here's my biggest fear. The Raiders pick Bain, right? They go with best player available. They pick Bain. And that leaves us picking Fernando Mendoza, who's a good prospect. I'm not going to lie. He is a good prospect.
You say but Philly? Don't you mean Vegas?
Huh?
Did you say, don't you mean Vegas if the Raiders take?
Yeah, the Raiders. I was saying, if the Raiders decide to take Bain,
yes,
and they leave us Mendoza, you know they're gonna pick Mendoza with the team not built for Mendoza.
Well, I would be okay with them taking Mendoza if it didn't cost them anything to get him. I would.
Well, I get that, yeah.
We would just be signing up for probably him to struggle year one, and you have to hope that you're in position to get the right coach to coach him up in year two. Because I do think there'd be coaches who would look at the Jets and say, I think Fernando Mendoza could be a franchise quarterback. I'll be the one to coach him up, like how Cam Ward was viewed. Although Tennessee hiring Sal, I question that one.
Well, I do like Mendoza because he has showed the ability to pull the rabbit out of his hat many times in the past couple of seasons.
But why are we talking about Mendoza? He's going number one.
I'm saying one of my fears is that the Raiders act like the Raiders and do something stupid and don't take him.
But that'd be a good thing for the Jets.
It's a double-edged sword. And I'll tell you why. I was one of those guys that wanted to keep Sam Darnold. I was one of those guys who said, all right, he's already in the league 3 years. I think, was it 3 years at the time? Something like that. And we had the second round pick and we had all this draft capital. We could have traded out of that second overall pick and built this team then with Sam Darnold, who's already now got 3 years in the league and has already shown the ability to play football. He did. Yes, he was rough, but coaching staff was a little rough around. But he did show promise.
What does that have to do with Fernando Mendoza, though?
What I'm saying is this team, if we go and pick Mendoza at number 2, right? Which and I agree, it's not a horrible choice. It's not. But what are we putting this kid in? Now, luckily,
he's got a good offensive line. He's got a number one wide receiver. He's got maybe a nice complementary receiver in A.D. Mitchell already here, a decent tight end who should get better in year 2. You have a decent running back room. Let's operate under the premise.
I'm hoping.
I don't think that means that it's a bad situation from a talent standpoint. The issue is the offensive coaching, but a year from now, you could get better coaching for that player. So I don't really see why that wouldn't be a good thing. You could get Mendoza at 2 and not have to trade any picks to get him. The bottom line is, though, he's going to go number 1 of the Raiders. This feels silly.
Yeah. Well, what are your first, like, if the Jets don't trade back, like if they don't take the number 2 pick and trade back, say to like number 6 or something, and or number 8 or something to try to get that quarterback, the one you were talking about, who's probably going to be gone at 16 or by the second round. I'm thinking, what is your first move in free agency? What would you fix in free agency first? Because everyone can talk about the draft all we want, but we don't know exactly what we're actually going to need in the draft until we go through free agency and see where we can plug some holes there.
Yeah, I would start by signing some players to fix the defense in the secondary. Safeties, linebackers. I'd start with those units.
Now, what do you think about JJ and McDonald as outside linebackers in a 3-4, and then get like a stud nose tackle, and then you have Briggs and I keep forgetting the guy we got from Minnesota.
Phillips. I don't think they're going to go 3-4. If you look at Glenn's time in Detroit, and Robbie brought this up, they play way more 4-3 than 3-4.
Yeah, but don't you think that if we got a really good stud nose tackle like a Haloti Ngata, that having those 2 guys as defensive tackles, and then you have McDonald and JJ as your outside linebackers, not both of them on the field at the same time, kind of rotate those outside guys based on whether it's first, second down, or third down, fourth down kind of thing. Because McDonald is just basically pure pass rusher. And JJ can do both.
I don't think you'll see that, Edward. I don't. I think maybe if they took Arvell Reese and they wanted to use him at linebacker in certain packages, okay, that's fine. And why did you mention Haloti Ngata, by the way?
Because I remember he was one of the best run-stuffing nose tackles that played. He was great.
I thought you were implying like the Jets should sign him. I'm like, hasn't he been out of the league? No.
I said like a Haloti Ngata, or like a Wolfork, that the Patriots used to have.
I'm like, he's 42 years old. He hasn't played football in a long time.
No. I understand that. I'm not talking the player. I'm talking somebody of that caliber, like a Wilfork or a Nada, as an a defensive lineman who is like that immovable object in front of the center who takes up the 0 and the 1 gap. Somebody, really stud, a really powerful stud guy on the defensive line. And then when you have those two other guys, Briggs and I forget his name again.
Harrison Phillips. Horton says this guy is like if John Lennon worked at Popeyes.
I'm just messing around. I'm just trying to come up with scenarios that we can talk about.
Hey, imagine
people think I'm crazy,
Mendoza.
but yeah. Well, I'm just trying to come up with scenarios to try to fix this defense. So if we get Mendoza, he has at least a reasonably good defense to fall back on.
Give me a cuckoo.
What do you want that for, man? I ain't doing that stuff, man. Who do you think I am? Those freaking half of knuckle jobs. Look, I'm just trying to put together a scheme that can work. Because I remember when Rex ran the team, we had a great defense, and basically Sanchez was a plug and play guy, game manager, and he was just good enough to get it done because he had an epically good defense. Who's that?
They should sign him.
What team is he on now, or what team was he on?
Well, he used to be on the Redskins. He got paid a lot and kind of ate his way out of the league after that.
Look, I don't know why you're trying to tease me. I'm just saying I'd like to get a big run-stuffing defensive lineman to help this defense out because we couldn't stop a nosebleed last year.
What about Chris Jenkins? Let's bring him back. Remember how dominant he was in that 08 year?
Well, first off, I'm not talking about former players. I'm talking about getting somebody in the draft, like a really good stud run-blocking defensive lineman.
It's a good draft for that. There were a couple guys at the Senior Bowl that I think could be in play.
That's what I'm trying to talk about. You got to get the guys off the field because the reason our defense was so bad was by the second half they were gassed in every game because you had Fields going 3 and out and 3 and out and 3 and out and 3 and out, and you can't do that. You just can't.
Jay says you can't take a little teasing, Edward.
I'm just a little sensitive to it, but Jake, really, just think about the last time the Jets were good. When Rex was in charge, they had a epically good defense. They did. They had one of the best defenses, and they had that really good O-line. We had Mangold, and we had all these good guys in there on the offensive line.
Did they?
We don't have that. What was it, Mangold, or was it who was the other guy, our center before him?
Mawai.
And we Mawai. Yeah, we had some really, really good stud offensive line.
15 years ago, the Jets had the best offensive line in the league. Yes.
I'm just saying it just helps if we're going to take this young quarterback. We need to have the trenches solidified, and I don't think the trenches are solidified. I think our O-line is very good. They had a lot of continuity. They basically started together.
So that's why you would take a quarterback if there was one worth taking. The issue is I don't believe Ty Simpson's worth taking at number 2, and Mendoza's going to go number 1.
But my point is, with our offensive line, with all the continuity it had, I think it should have been a higher-ranked offensive line because you had offensive lines that had less continuity than us that were ranked higher than the Jets.
Well, continuity is one thing, but,
that helps. It helps.
They started a below-average center for 17 games in Myers. If AVT was healthy, I think the O-line would have got probably a lot more recognition because I think it would have played at a higher level. They were good this year, and I think they'll be better next year. Year 2 of Membo, year 3 of Olu, another year 4 of Tippmann. I think there's some real positives to this unit. We'll see what they do with Simpson and AVT.
I think we need one more good O-lineman, whether we get a center or we get another guard, because I just think that it would help. I really do. I just think it would help. We need one more solid guy to really solidify that offensive line, and we need some run stuffers on the defensive line. You win in the trenches. All right, I know
by the way,
that
6'6",
Joe D screwed up. Who?
Albert Hainsworth, 6'6", 350.
He's not available now. It's a moot point. So,
Well, good call, Edward. I appreciate you making it.
thank you, man.
Steady, Edward. Steady, Eddie. Live on a Football Friday, folks. What a call. Jet Landing writes in, doubt this happens, but we should give Daniel Jones a blank check if things fall through here. He's coming off an Achilles. I'm not going to give him a blank check. How much is Daniel Jones' success? The fact that he was with a great offensive mind in Shane Steichen, who nearly made the playoffs with Gardner Minshew. You see why you hire offensive coaches? You see where the league is going? Unless you already have that kick-ass quarterback in place, you got to lean with offensive guys. That's the NFL. All right, we're going to get to more of your outstanding calls, but first, we need a quick break. When we come back, rapid fire through your remaining calls. Jake Asman with you right here on a Football Friday. Sam Darnold signed football is today's giveaway.
Well, he's home sitting in a chair, 'cause his back hurts. On the road, he's sitting in a chair, in an upgraded hotel room. He calls the show his ass is in a chair. His wife thinks he's weird. He got a beard. He loves the Jets, the Super Jets. Well, he's a big fella. He's all alone in a room on a chair. Well, that's a big fella.
Gator don't play no shit.
Her purple belt wife, she's the Dark Knight. She has a lazy husband who frets clean potatoes. Maybe someday she'll get some help, but for now, she's just a purple belt wife. Purple belt wife, she might not be purple, but she can kick her husband's ass.
Gator never been about that. Never been about playing no shit.
He thinks that Gary needs more shots upside his head. This cowboy hates when you don't believe in achievement. Well, they call him one punch Sprigger. The moon landing was real. They call him one punch Sprigger. His claim is not true. They call him one punch Sprigger. Hated Johnson's fight inside his soul. One punch Sprigger. Johnson only need one.
Ricky, New York is my name. Florida State is my game. My internet sucks, call him Jake. When it's time to smoke and debate, the New York Jets are gonna win. My team since I was a kid. My New York Jets are gonna win. I'm Richie, New York. Don't forget that. Florida State, bitches. New York Jets. We got this shit. It's time to win, baby. Win. Can't wait.
I got my Iron UJ. I hope you like my Jets take. You know they call me David T. It's not easy for me to see, but if you bring me full stream, you might like what I had to say. I'll need to get real damn close, cause my vision is dog shit.
Welcome to Extreme Madness. In the words of Cody Rhodes, go fuck yourself. Show's over.
Wow, what a monstrous commercial break there. I was taking a huge Renzo. I needed all that time. Or was I? I was actually back, just enjoying that. I did use the restroom, though, but not for what you think. Kalem says Jake has turned into a shock jock and is taking Sabo with him. I don't agree with the points made. Well, tell me what you don't agree with before you just say I'm a shock jock. Would love to know. I'm a shock jock. No, I'm a Jet fan who's pissed they went 3-14 and fired both coordinators and are the laughing stock of the league. And I got confirmation as such when I was down in Mobile about the Jets' reputation among people. Anyway, I digress. More calls. Here we go.
Welcome back.
Hello, Kyle.
So I'm not usually no one's going to ever want to come here. We're the Jets guy. But when it comes to Kirk Cousins, I'm not sure that he is the guy who wants to come here. He's already refused this once, right? What was it, 10 years ago, 8 years ago?
That was going into the 2018 offseason.
Right. So now we're in the 2026 season, so 8 years ago, right? And, he's basically shown a predilection, I think, to stay Midwest to East. We know he's family oriented. We know that, he's getting a little bit older and he probably wants one last chance to win. So I want to kind of talk through this with you. What are the other options? Assuming that Miami is going to go, a different route. People seem to think that Malik Willis is going there. I don't know, right? But what are the other options? Like Arizona, I don't really think so. Cleveland, I don't really think so. Help me kind of talk through it. I think that he would end up somewhere else, but I think it's not the Jets for him. But I'm trying to figure out what his landing spot would be.
Well, I think Minnesota does actually make some sense. I think him still actually staying in Atlanta, we can't completely rule that out, which Stefanski there. I mean, Miami.
Wasn't it a little bit acrimonious when he separated from Minnesota?
I guess a little bit. He wanted to come back, but again, Kevin O'Connell might need him,
Right. Okay.
There's going to be options for him. I don't think he'd be against necessarily going to the Jets, right? Like, I think he used the Jets in 2018 to get more money because he wanted to go to Minnesota. He now might need the Jets if he wants a guaranteed chance to start, and it might offer him also the most money too if they're desperate enough. So I'm with you. I don't think it's a lock. Oh, if they want him, they get him. I don't think it's like that, but I could see it. I do think you're on to something that it's no guarantee he'd choose the Jets. He might want to go to a more stable situation.
I mean, the other thing is we're still in tank mode, right? Like, we don't want to bring in anyone who's too good.
Well, the thing is, they're going to try and win, but I just don't think they're good enough to win. That's the bottom line. Like Frank Reich running our offense and Glenn coordinating the defense with some insert your mid quarterback option. I don't think is enough to stop the Jets from not having a terrible season.
No, I mean, that's kind of the situation we're in right now. The fan base and the head coach are kind of at cross purposes because he is going to try and win, but we don't think he has the capability to win. We don't think he has the facilities to win. We don't think he has the mental facilities to win. It hates me. I hate to say that about Aaron Glenn because I loved him as a player. He's had some success as a small businessman, but it's like he wandered in from another planet when it comes to running an NFL franchise for someone who's been around the game post-playing career for as long as he has. And, he basically came in with like a lot of braggadocio about how it was going to be coaching and he was going to be able to handle New York media, and he can't handle New York media to save his life. So, at this point, why we would trust him, I'm not exactly sure. But I kind of agree with what EZ was saying. Like, we skipped on all the defensive linemen last year, and if it's a matter of grabbing two guys and separating from Phillips, I'd be amenable to that too. If the cap hit isn't too bad, I kind of like the Texas Tech guy who kind of projects to a one technique.
Hunter, yeah, he was
Yeah.
impressive at first in this week.
Yeah, I mean that's a guy. Might he be there at 44? That would be something that would be very intriguing to me. And then we could always go and get a guy to give him a blow a little bit later in the draft, because we're going to have 10 picks overall. That's where I stand. I mean, every day is like a new level of hell. I feel like I've been Peter Castroized by this franchise over the last few months, and the level of frustration has never been higher. You can see by my background, this will probably be the background for the foreseeable future. Fire Aaron Glenn. I've had enough. Goodbye.
Kyle, thank you. Good call there from the great Kyle Clifton. Joey says Carson Wentz will be a Jet if Reich is the OC. I don't know about that. It ended poorly the last time Reich was coaching Wentz. It got Reich fired in Indy. Remember that? I don't know about that one. I can't rule it out. I mean, Carson Wentz might be the best of all these putrid options. But it can't just be Carson Wentz and we're set. You have to add Wentz and another veteran and then still take a chance on someone in the draft. For me, it'd be Garrett Nussmeier with pick 44, or if they move out of pick 33 and get a third and you can get him there, I'm open to that as well. Let's get to more of your calls. Leader of the Jets is next this morning. Hello, Leader of the Jets.
Morning, Jake. How we doing?
Now, are you giving yourself this title, Leader of Jets? What makes you a leader?
Self-appointed,
Okay.
leader of people. Last two calls, embarrassingly old takes. I can't believe some of the references that were made to some of these players. Whenever I come on here, I get the boot so quickly for talking about Ty Simpson at 2. And now it seems like you're at least warming up to the idea that he goes top 10. But that's not really what I wanted
Not
to
to the
discuss.
Jets, not at 2.
And that's okay. We don't have to get into. I still think that he'll be there. We'll see who ends up being the OC. Truthfully, I didn't hate the idea. I mean, I think Engstrand was pretty good overall, all things considered. So the way I viewed the Frank Reich hiring would have been, a sort of mentorship for the OC, and maybe a year or two down the line, Tanner Engstrand takes over the play calling duties. So that's been my biggest indictment of Aaron Glenn. I know you can be super critical of a lot of things, but this has just been like a failure to, stick to a process. Embarrassing. But in regards to next coach, I think the best bet to get a quality coach, and you could see it this offseason and the prior one, it is to have the quarterback in place. No offensive-minded coach wants to take a job, at least a good one, without an assurance. You saw, Ben Johnson didn't leave Detroit until Chicago had Caleb. Liam Cohen was very desired, but he left Tampa to go to Trevor Lawrence. Vrabel, very desired. He went after they got Drake May. So I don't see us getting a quality coach, because the Jets' reputation is terrible right now. It's awful. Why would a coach go there when you factor in the media and the roster, unless there is a quality quarterback on the roster? So
what about a path to a quarterback, though? Like if the Jets have the first pick in the draft and they can get the top guy, and that guy is deemed to be a generational player, right?
That's this year. We're there. We have the second pick. That's the path.
But who's the quarterback? You're going to tell me Ty Simpson is that level of quarterback?
I think, truthfully, yeah, I do think that he can be that quarterback. If you look at the tape, his processing, it was kind of undisputed that he would be the top pick. And then people say he had an injury or his offensive line didn't hold up. Whatever you think, you can't expect a college player to be perfect the entire season. But I do think that he can be an NFL star, at least, a top 10 guy.
Starter or star?
A star. I think that the baseline with quarterbacks is, do I think he can win a Super Bowl? And yes, I think he could. Obviously not immediately. The situation matters so much. But if you give him, I think we should go wide receiver at 16. So then we have a good O line. We have Garrett Wilson. We have a young wide receiver at 2. We have A.D. Mitchell. I love Mason Taylor. I think Mason Taylor is going to be really good. And then Brees Hall, I think that's a very, very good situation. You would have to bring in, because I do think you should try to groom him up a little bit. The starts, it's a little bit low. But in regards to his football acumen, like you could just see him going through the reads, his pre-snap, like he has that sort of pedigree and that sort of IQ where, it comes kind of naturally to him. And you see his pocket presence, the way he moves, he's always looking downfield. I think it'll become pretty clear, that he's going to be a top pick. I do think he's going to go 2. I've said that before. But let's say that happens. And Aaron Glenn's play calling on defense is a catastrophe. The Jets win 4 or 5 games, maybe a 6. Ty Simpson sneaks a couple in, and the Jets are picking at 9. But they have what they would view as the quarterback on the roster. I think a good coach would want to come into that situation this
What
year.
if he looks like Josh Rosen?
Well, I think that a good coach will still be interested, just not the best coach. Truthfully,
well, coaches will be interested no matter what because it's one of 32, and there's only going to probably be, let's say, 5 to 7 openings next year. But they're in a spot where next year's draft, and again, there's always a risk when you say this because look what happened this year. So I always couch my opinion with that before I say, but I do believe next year will be a better quarterback class because a lot of the guys we were counting on this year, they went back to school. And I think a year from now, they're going to come out, some of these guys. I rather just wait because, again, you could take Ty Simpson, but if you take him at 2, Woody Johnson might not let the next guy come in and move off of him when he's paid him $60 million guaranteed after a year. I just think there's a huge risk in that. You don't have the right coaching staff set. Now, you think Ty is going to be great. So if that's the case, then obviously I can't say your opinion is wrong. It's your opinion. I just don't think that's the smartest approach given where the Jets are at right now, given the concerns we have about their coaching staff. I rather take a chance on someone on day 2. Maybe it's Garrett Nussmeier, someone like that. And then I will then let it play out this year, see if Glenn can coach, see if they can add talent to the team and he can coach that talent up. And if he's here for a 3rd year, he would have earned it. If not, I do think the job will be attractive a year from now because they'll have a path to a quarterback and they'll have some real talent that's been added to the team.
Yeah, I just think it comes down to, in that regard, the schedule that the GM and the head coach are on. And you could see the tanking. Do you think Tyrod and Justin Fields couldn't play at the end of the year last year? Or do you think that was a severe tank job to play Brady Cook?
Well, I think Tyrod was injured and then he was healthy probably to play in the last 2 games. Whenever he was the backup, right? He was the backup for the last 2 games he came back and they started Cook, whatever it was, or I guess the last one they shut him down. But no, obviously they were trying to not do everything in their power to win. I think the concern is they started 0-7. Their wins were against 3 backups. And when they were trying to win with Tyrod that day against the Dolphins, they came out against a division opponent and were down 21-0 before you could even blink. And Tyrod played in that game at the beginning before he went down. So there's concerns, man. Again, I know they were playing Brady Cook. They were trying to get the number 1 pick, and they thought Moore was going to come out and they were going to take him at 2. Instead, he went back to school and they didn't get the number 1 pick. So just because they're still picking 2.
Smarter than that.
Yeah, Muji's smarter. But what do you mean he's smarter than that? Like, what does that
mean?
You
think that when they decided to tank, they said it's 1 or bust?
I think their goal was to get as high as they could to put themselves in position to potentially get a QB, whether it be Mendoza
and that's
or
2,
Moore.
And they got it. Well, so you think that the only thing they were do you think that Dante Moore earlier in the year was a no doubt coming out? Because the entire season there's been rumors that he would stay.
Yeah, I really thought he was going to go out because I just thought, and we've never seen someone turn down that kind of money to stay. And I get it, NIL will make a good amount of money, but it's still like $6 million to 55 plus guaranteed. Like, he's taking a huge risk. So I thought he'd come out. He's a better man than me. I think most of us would have taken the money and went out.
Well, I don't think that he was going to be. I think he was told that he was not going to be this top pick that some of the mocks have him at.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Well, you could say that Ty Simpson isn't deserving, but Dante Moore is. I just don't see
I think
that.
Dante Moore is a better prospect than Ty Simpson.
In what regard?
I just liked what I saw more from Moore this year than I did from Simpson, personally. I think he's a better athlete. He started 5 more games than Simpson has. I like the fact that Moore is someone who went to UCLA and sat behind Dylan Gabriel for a full year at Oregon and then got to play this year and looked really good, led a team to the national semifinal. I like him better as a prospect than Simpson. I don't dislike Simpson, but I don't think the Jets are the right team for Simpson.
Are the Raiders the right place for Fernando?
I think
is Dante Moore the right player for the Jets? Like, you could apply that logic.
No, I don't. I don't think Dante Moore is the right player for the Jets. That's why I was glad he went back to school. I don't think Mendoza is going to a great spot in the Raiders, but he's going to go there because he's considered the best quarterback. Like, that's
and that's the overall theme with Ty Simpson. But, just with the schedule, like, what has there ever been a second year, head coach and GM that had no quarterback the prior year, and then the second year they had the second pick and a good enough player, whether you think he's a top 10 pick, top 15, or a top
But most people
2.
don't agree with you. Most people don't think he's worth the second pick in the draft. You're on an island on this one.
Should we let them run the Jets? This is just kind of basic knowledge.
But this is your opinion. It's not basic knowledge. No one is sitting here saying Ty Simpson should go second overall besides you. Who's pounding the table saying that right now?
Pounding the table? I don't know who's pounding the table.
But again, if you're going to put, that's the point. If you're going to take a quarterback second overall, you have to have total conviction this is the guy. You're the only one who believes that. If Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn think that too, that'd be different, but there's no evidence of that.
Well, the tanking is kind of evidence of that, and the fact that
they were tanking for Mendoza. They were hoping the Raiders would win a game and they would get Fernando Mendoza. They sent more scouts and front office people to Indiana, I learned, than any other college program this year.
But to think that they would tank so aggressively for just one player, it's just unrealistic.
I think it was also for Dante Moore as well.
If that's the case, okay, then that's incredible, like a horrific job of planning that you're going to put, that sort of a gamble and that sort of career-altering record and decision-making on a college kid making a decision to enter the draft. But in your scenario, that would require a second-year head coach and a second-year GM to punt again on the season. Like, how are you going to validate?
They're not punting on the season. What they need to do is win games to get a third year.
Who's going to win the game?
Maybe it's Kirk Cousins. Maybe it's Kyler Murray. They need to win games to get.
Why would they take 1-year deals?
What do you mean? Why would they take 1-year deals? What are their other options? They're going to get someone to play quarterback.
Will go somewhere. Kyler Murray will go somewhere.
And so will Kirk Cousins. They're going to get someone. Malik Willis is out there. They're going to sign someone that is a professional quarterback that could start the year.
Those are all multi-year contracts. Show me a 1-year deal.
They signed Justin Fields to a multi-year deal too.
Justin Fields was that's his third team. It's a completely different scenario than
Common Country nailed this. For you to be shitting on the previous calls, you're just as bad. You're just as bad. Your takes don't make any sense.
How does it not make any sense? It's very logical. Where's the flawed logic?
It's not logical. Because
please explain where the flawed logic is.
Because you're just saying force a quarterback at 2 when Ty Simpson.
It's not forced. He was QB1 all season.
What do you mean he was QB1 all season? He was not QB1 all season.
He was. Yes,
no, he was not.
Yes, he was.
All right. Thank you for the time. I'm not going to just yell about nonsense with you. He was not QB1 all season. I think at the beginning of the year, there was talk of him being the first quarterback when he got off to an amazing start. And then Mendoza quickly took over as the guy. He won the Heisman. He just led Indiana to a 15-0 or 16-0 national championship season. That's just a brutal call. Like, what are you talking about, dude? They're going to just punt on quarterback? No, they just won't do it at 2. They could take someone at 16 potentially They could take someone with their 2 second-round picks. They could trade back into the end of round 1 if Trinidad Chambliss, let's say, is their guy they like, or take someone with their second-round pick if they really like Garrett Nussmeier, for example. Come on. You don't get to just force a quarterback at 2. That's not how this works. They were trying to get Mendoza. When they started losing and playing Brady Cook, they were trying to put themselves in a spot where they could get the number 1 pick had the Raiders won a game. It didn't happen. He's like, oh, he's QB1. Based on who? Your opinion? If the Jets agree with you, then sure, they'll take him at 2, and I think they'd be making a big mistake. But you're acting like the consensus is Ty Simpson is the no doubt number 1 pick. That's not how this works. They're not going to force a pick like that. Frank says, I was ready to send him to the hole, Jake. You beat me. I appreciate you, Frank. Let's get to your last remaining calls here. My brain hurts. Rooster's up next. Hello, Rooster.
How we doing today, Jake? Do you think leader of the Jets maybe has a ticket on Ty Simpson to go 2 in the draft? I've never heard anything like it.
Again, Ty Simpson, I do believe there'll be some hype for him as we get closer to the draft. That's how this works. But there's no evidence right now that's the Jets' plan at number 2. That's crazy.
Oh, wait, I just got some breaking news. The Jets are hiring Edward Ziff as assistant GM today. I mean,
his first move is to bring back Chris Jenkins.
Incredible. You know what's got me thinking? How I give Aaron Glenn credit for one thing. He took the worst regular season, the biggest fiasco, and in 3 weeks managed to top that. How is that possible? Like, if you're Woody Johnson or anyone, how do you have any confidence with what's going on? I mean, you're jumping around. You bring Martindale, and I'm surprised Martindale didn't punch him in the face. And then last second you say, well, I'm going to call plays. You fire Engstrand. I have a theory. I think we're watching a real live Major League 3. And I think this Woody Johnson is trying to sabotage this whole thing and move this team to London and create such negativity with the fan base that would we even care? I mean, how can you explain what's going on?
I mean, it's so bad that people will be like, that makes some sense. They're not moving to London, though.
There's no sense. If they hire Lou Brown tomorrow and Joe Boo at tight end, are we gonna think it just what is going on? I talk to my friends and we just don't even know what to say. It doesn't make sense. Like, forget Aaron Glenn running around like a chicken without a head. That's what he's doing. How do people I almost said to someone, would it shock you tomorrow if Darren Mucci resigned? Like, if I'm Darren Mucci, aren't you nervous?
It's 1 of 32. He's being paid like a GM. He's not going to walk away from all that money.
But he's got right now a pretty good reputation. If he said right now, "Hey guys, I'm out," but you're tied to
Yeah, well, hopefully he does a good job this year, and if he's earned the opportunity to stay, he could stay. Glenn could go, and then Mucci will be a part of a coach search potentially.
We're just at a loss for words now. I mean, I got this Syracuse football, basketball. I mean, I just getting bombarded with bad everywhere.
It's bad, man. I don't have a whole lot of hope for this. That's why I was so adamant on moving on from the coach, because I already see where this year's going. I mean, I've never experienced this so as a Jet fan, where it is the worst it has ever been to be a fan of this team. I don't think it's close.
Usually at this time of the year,
we're excited.
It's false Jet bravado. We're excited. We're getting players. We have a new coach for this. This has been it's chaos.
Yeah.
And the guy has been a disaster on everything he's done every step of the way. And it's gotten worse. Like, you had all this time, you fire Wilkes, and this is what we come up with? I'm going to call plays. Like everyone's been saying, where's the process? It just, and then you can't justify any of it anywhere. Like, I was listening to Nick Ferry yesterday. Come on. There's nothing here. There's zero here. You can't justify any of it. You can't. We all know where this is going. So if everyone knows where this is going, why is it going? That's my question to you, Jake. And I'll let you go because I know it's been crazy. Goodbye, buddy.
Rooster, I appreciate you. Where is it going? I mean, it's going towards another wasted season where the head coach might not even make it through the year if they get off to a terrible start. That's what it feels like. Again, I hope I'm wrong. But yeah, I don't I can't sit here and say anything he just said there is crazy talk. I mean, that's the feeling for many right now. Common Country, shout out to you. He is in the Asmaniac raffle for one.
It's Jets, Jets. I love Fireman Ed too.
Rye the General with a super chat. Been saying Gruden, but is he eligible to work? Anyone can hire Jon Gruden. He just happens to have a lawsuit with the NFL, but Brian Flores does too. He's been working. More of your calls right now. Jordan is next. Hey, Jordan.
What's up?
Jordan, call back. We lost you there. In the meantime, let's continue with your outstanding calls right now. And OG is on the line. A man we love, a man we respect, and a man who will punch you straight in the face. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to say hello to One Punch. Dave Brigga, hit it.
He thinks that Gorman needs to get a frickin' job. This cowboy hates to see Asmaniacs complain. What they call him, One Punch Brigga. You need to get a job. What they call him, One Punch Brigga. The beast is on his ass. They call him One Punch Brigga. Has anyone seen Dean Mack? They call him One Punch Brigga. He'll only need one.
Jake, good morning. How are you today?
Hello, Dave. Love the bucket hat.
Like, well, that's one of your. That's the reason why we're in here. We're just strictly depending on this team to make achievement. We wouldn't be here. Let's face the facts. Another miserable week as a lifetime Jet fan. Listen, I'm going to try to put some of this in a context. Okay. As you all know, right? I've been a lifetime Jets fan since it's 60 years plus now. So I wasn't around to see the Titans. That's before I was even really, concentrating on being in the Jets fandom. But when Joe Willie came in, we started from there. I, myself as a Jets fan, so seeing it build up to the Super Bowl years, there was, we saw step by step growth. We saw people that knew what they were doing. Weeb Eubank, and the men that we had in there is our GMs. I think Weeb mostly did most of that work. And we saw, after that period, we went to the Super Bowl. We achieved that great feat. We saw it, the next year we saw after 69, we lost to the Chiefs in that 13-6 playoff game. We saw steady decline in the 70s, right? We went through those 70s. We had Charlie Winter. Then we had the terrible Lou Holtz. We went through that. We went through that saga. Then we came to the 80s. We had Walt Michaels. Start building up the team. We had hope. Then Joe Walton came in, right? Couple runs, didn't achieve things. Then we get to the 90s. Bruce Coslett. Then we saw Kotite, who was probably the second worst to this thing that we're seeing now. And then we came to Parcells. And since then you guys came in, the 2000 generation, if I'm right? You started your fandom, what, about 2004?
Yeah, roughly around 04, I would say.
Okay. Well, okay. So we saw up until this point, right? Until that point, there was nothing ever like this that we're seeing now.
No, this is the worst it's been, Dave, and there's no optimism. And they're not even close. It's like 15 years of the playoff drought, and there's no end in sight. And most years they haven't really come close, if we're being honest, right? They had the win and you're in scenario in 2015. In 2022, they were alive going into the last two games of the year, the Mike White year. I mean, Rodgers went down 4 plays in. That year was cooked. The final year of Saleh, he got fired at 2-3. That was cooked. So, it's just there's nothing. They started 0-7 this year. They couldn't even be fake good with a new coach for a little bit.
Well, this team just zaps the life out. There's no joy. There's no happiness to be involved in being a Jets fan. I mean, there's nothing to look forward to. I mean, every day it seems to get worse. The $1.98 Duker, right? Listen, there used to be a show in the old days, in the 70s. They called it $1.98 Beauty Show, where they take out these women, they put them in some garb, bikinis or whatever. That's what he's doing. He's putting a $1.98 bikini on this Duker guy. I mean, he's unbelievable. Listen, and I said it before, nobody wants to be negative. And, some of the guys, we don't want to turn people off. The guys come against us in the chat and everybody's arguing. They're calling bootlickers. But, this is reality, what we're going through. You can't, this guy does not know what he's doing. They owe him money. You think this guy's getting paid $15 million a year. You think Woody's going to get rid of him? He don't want to pay Wink, right? That's why they kicked him out the door. It wasn't basically the calls. Glenn calling. He wasn't going to pay him. It's financial too. On the financial end, these people don't even know what they're doing. They're just, take a look at that stadium and that Jaime. I don't know what he does for a living. He's supposed to be a financial advisor to this guy. Woody has no idea. He just has a silver spoon. Guys that have the silver spoon never really get down into the business world. Okay, listen. You know what? He's got to start getting. He's got to start getting his head out of his rear end. I know it's probably not going to happen, and we know he's not going anywhere. And this thought about him moving. If we could start over, I'd take it, like the Browns did. If we could get him out of here, but I mean that's crazy talk. I get it, but if we could get him out of here and start over, leave us the name. Get out of here. Get him out of here. But this Glenn, I mean, he's something you can't. I was trying to assess my own situation here. I've been following on the content creators. And I know how you guys do it. God bless you. You earn a living off this team. All you guys. I don't know how you do it. And then you got to go down to the Senior Bowl. And you have to confront these other people. And I mean, we're just a laughing stock. That's all it is. It's a laughing stock. I mean, I don't know how you guys do it. I know when I confront other fans, Steeler fans, Eagle fans, my nephews, they laugh at me. And these are former Jet fans, but they knew they had to head out. When they were younger, my nephew, he had all Curtis Martin stuff in his thing in his room, all this stuff. When that era went, they just, when they left to go to school, that was it. There's not too many people that are loyal long term. Let's face the facts here. I mean, we got a lot of loyalty, but it's so I have to ask myself, I put a lot of time looking at like yourself. Am I redeeming my time well? Are we wasting our time? I have to, we only get X amount of time in life. The time we spend on this group is unbelievable for what we get back. So we have to ask
I know.
ourselves.
We got a great
What
community,
we get
Dave.
back is we
That's
get back
it.
nothing.
Nope.
We don't even get a crumb. We don't get breadcrumbs. Nothing.
Nope.
No. My wife doesn't like when I start raising my voice, but it's aggravating. It's aggravating. I mean, where are we going? Just ask ourselves, where are we going? Where is the hope? Just a ray. In past years, you could see a ray of hope, but there's none. You have to be real, guys. Listen, we're not negative. Jake is not negative. The guys, you heard Robbie. These guys have been around the team. And I'm speaking to the fandom out there. I'm speaking to the fandom. I don't want to give up. I never give up, but this team just zaps the living life out of you. It's just horrendous.
It does, Dave.
Listen, I've been fans of other teams, but I've never seen anything like this. And I don't believe in curses. It's just tremendous ineptness, and it's just a whole organization that's lost. It's just they're just lost. That's the only way I could explain it. It gets worse every day. It shouldn't be that way. And when you go down and you try to set, I used to get when you started your show in 22. I mean, I think that's when it came on 22 before the 22 draft. I mean, I was very psyched up to to follow the players, look at the players being pumped up for the draft. I have no interest now because I don't see any. You only have interest if you see hope. And like the guy before, what difference is it? If they draft a guy like Simpson and destroy him like they did Sam Darnold, what difference does it make? What difference is it? They destroy quarterbacks. And now I like Frank. Frank Reich's a tremendous person. And people shouldn't just damn him because he's 64 years old and say he can't adjust. I get it with the younger generation. They think if you're old, you're just lost in time. But that's not always the case.
I really think it's that. I just think it's his recent trend, right? Like you can see it on the screen there. Like it didn't go well at the end in Indy. Didn't go well in Carolina. He's been away from football, from the NFL for 2 years. He was not great at Stanford. Like it just, no one else is interviewing him, right? I don't care about how old someone is. It's just like when no one's interviewing you and Glenn is reportedly looking for a head coach of the offense, and you're just going to hand things over to a guy who wasn't very good his most recent stops in the NFL, now has been away from the NFL. It doesn't exactly inspire the fan base.
No, it's not inspiring. I get it because like the Eagles, they just hired that Mannion after their search, and there was rumors they were going to hire Engstrand. I mean, I saw that come down. So but I think Sirianni put the quash on that. I don't know. But you know what? Maybe if they bring him in, he could bring some sense into Glenn because we're stuck with this guy. I don't even, if he's paying him $15 million a year now, you think he's going to can him? You think? Yeah, hey, do you think he's going to can him, Jake, even if he has a bad year?
I do. Yeah, he's making 12 and a half, or I've heard Samiti say 10. I've heard Connor Rogers say 12 and a half. I do think Woody will step in if they have another 4-win or less season, 5-win or less season. He's going to have to.
You have to. He has to do. I mean, here's the biggest fear I have now, even to look forward, that he's going to be so desperate that he's going to just draft, and he's going to have the final say, and he's going to do what he wants, and he just drafts players that are inappropriate for the long term. I mean, long term be until he's gone. He's just going. I mean, is he going to just do that to save his rear end or what? I mean, that's what I fear, that he's going to overrule Muji because he's so desperate. And Muji, I think, knows what he's doing, but he might not have the final say because this guy, has his hoodwinked Woody.
Can't argue with you, Dave. I can't argue with it.
You think that's what will happen?
I do think they're going to be aggressive, but you got to hope that, that Muji could go to ownership and say, hey, this isn't smart. You got to hope that there's got to be someone in there that has a clue and won't act reckless because Glenn's trying to save his job.
Well, Muji's got to go in and convince, Woody of these things. He should start he should start really putting this guy under the heat, because the GM's supposed to be a guy that, runs the show from the top and not the coach. And, if I were in Muji's shoes, I'd have my hands around Glenn's throat. Believe me. That's it. He would be not making these crazy moves that he's doing. And if I had to get kicked out the door because I put my foot down against this guy, I'd do it if I were Muji, because he's not worth 10 cents. At this current time. I hope he improves. And maybe Frank Reich, if he comes in, will show him a little maturity, because he has none. And stop his big braggadocio act. Stick that in a garbage can. It don't mean nothing. All we know is we need a little. We shouldn't have to come in every day and be so miserable. He shouldn't make us miserable like he does. We don't need it. We need to have some joy with this team. It's about time. I'm sick of it. And I know I give you guys, content creators, a lot of credit for sticking in here, because you guys are talented. You could do a lot better, but you're loyal. And so I appreciate you, Jake, and our fans. Don't get mad at us. We all get mad at the guys that have different opinions. We can all have our opinions. Just don't stick a knife in our back. If you got something to say it in front of my face. I don't need backstabbers. Okay? No backstabbers. And Jake,
I appreciate you, Dave.
Keep up the good work. I appreciate you. God bless all.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great Dave Briga.
He thinks that Gary needs more shots upside his head. This cowboy hates when you don't believe in achievement. Well, they call him One Punch Briga. The moon landing was free. They call him One Punch Briga. His claim is not too dirty. They call him One Punch Briga. Hated Johnson's fight his ass. One Punch Briga. Does it only need done? Yeah.
Love the passion from one of the OGs in the community, Dave Briga, the Rooster in the house. He gifted one membership. Sam Darnold signed football is today's raffle prize. Hit it, AG.
Just don't let go of the rope.
Sounds like Dave Briga has let go of the rope. All right, one last call here before we check in with the beast to close this out. Ladies and gentlemen, we say hello to a man who's polarizing in this community. You either love him or you hate him. Let's find out what he has to say today.
Now there's a gas station over here. I'm going to go get some pizza and see if they have any butter to put on it.
You haven't played that one in a while. That's a good one.
Gotta switch it up.
Yeah. I keep them on their toes, Jake. You got to keep them on their toes. You can't just give them the same look every time. First, you got a couple of callers I'm not familiar with. Rooster, shout out to Rooster, wearing the Syracuse quarter zip. You should have asked him about Syracuse losing to Hofstra in basketball. That would have been my first question for him. What the hell's wrong with Syracuse basketball? Let him entertain that question. And then the other guy that called in, I wasn't familiar with him either. The one that called in about Ty Simpson. Who is that?
Yeah, he's been leader of the Jets. He's been calling in the last few weeks, pushing his Ty Simpson agenda.
Is that Tank Fatai in the chat? Is that the same
No,
guy?
I think it's a different guy. Yeah.
It's his brother.
It's his son. I don't know.
He went a little overboard when he said that he was the number one quarterback. He was QB1 for the entire season. That's not true. He was QB1 for a moment, though. There was a time where Ty Simpson was, and then he had a horrible second half of the season, and everyone's like, he's probably going back to school. But he's wrong in the fact that he's saying he was QB1 the entire season. But there was a time this year that he was QB1. There was. He's not wrong about that. It wasn't. What my point is that there were people, I'm not one of them, who thought very highly of Ty Simpson. That's what I'm saying, right? Like, I wouldn't take him, but he's not really alone in that. There are some people out there who think very highly of Ty Simpson and that it wouldn't be a bad pick at 2 or even 1. So I wouldn't take him. I think it's forcing it, but he's not alone in that.
Again, could they take him? Sure. It's the Jets. Maybe they're so desperate they do it. I don't see it though. I don't think they're going to take a guy second overall who finished his college career getting injured and has 15 career starts. It's not like he was dominant with his 15. Like when, Kyler Murray got selected with under 20 starts, he was amazing his last year in college football. Like, look at the list of guys that were drafted in the first round with 15 or fewer starts. The one thing you could say when you bring up the list is they dominated their last year, right? Like Dwayne Haskins was awesome at Ohio State. Trubisky was really good at North Carolina. Like Cam was Cam. Anthony Richardson had a pretty big year at Florida, if I remember correctly. Ty Simpson was really good at the beginning and then wasn't great by the end of the year. I don't know if you're taking that guy second.
I would say AR-15 was the one that was kind of like Ty Simpson. How did that work out? AR-15 had a great start to the season and then kind of faded, right? AR-15 had a college career similar to Ty Simpson. That 1 year that he played, where it was good and then not so good, and they took him. I mean, there's a lot more God-givens in AR-15, right? AR-15 looks much like a star quarterback, right? More than Ty Simpson does. But if you want to kind of find a comp to what Ty Simpson did in college, AR-15 is actually a pretty good comp, and that didn't work out so well, right? Like it really didn't. And then the other thing, so the Texas Tech receiver, Reggie Virgil, I keep hearing a lot of good things. Have you gotten to see Reggie Virgil at Senior Week?
Was he there?
Yeah.
He was. No, I didn't get. I don't.
Okay.
I didn't see enough of him to give you a strong opinion. That's more of a Dom or Dylan question because I only got to go to probably about half of the actual practices because the Jets, when I was down there, fired their OC one day and then hired a DC the next day. So I didn't even get. I only saw about half of the practices.
AR had a ton of talent, but he has talent the same way Joe Milton had talent, right? I was addressing Common Country in the chat. And then I missed the beginning of the show. I caught it real late. The Jon Gruden thing. Do you think the Jets, what is your inkling? The Jets actually did reach out to him, and he's just
personally, yes.
No, okay.
I think they reached out, and I think Jon Gruden, to not embarrass the Jets, because he probably likes Aaron Glenn, appreciated the fact that they did reach out to him. I think he just said, no, it's not true. There's a lot of rumors out there, and he shut it down to try and help the Jets save some face. And I think Gruden's smart enough to know that a year from now, if they were interested in him being on the coaching staff, that means Woody and Chris Johnson had to approve that phone call in the first place because Gruden's suing the NFL. So I believe that Gruden's smart enough to realize, hey, if they were interested in me, maybe they'd be interested in me as their head coach a year from now as well. So I think they did reach out, and I personally believe Jon Gruden was just trying to not embarrass the Jets because he didn't want to do that to Glenn, and I think he thinks he could be the coach a year from now.
It's weird, Aaron Glenn asking Jon Gruden to be his OC. It's like, you think I'm going to come work for you? I appreciate the offer, but it's like when Kanye asked Trump to be his vice president. It's like, yeah, I don't think it's going to work that way. It's I don't think I'm going to go work for you, pal. But I appreciate the offer. That's really all I got. I wanted to check it out on Virgil. Are you doing a show later today? You doing a second show today? Or what's your schedule for the rest of like this weekend?
We'll be live this afternoon with our usual second stream. Correct.
Okay. And then when are you leaving? Are you staying all
Sunday?
weekend?
Sunday, and I'll be in San Fran for our first live show Monday. We'll be there Monday through Friday.
Oh, you're going to be Super Bowl all week. You're going to be there all week.
All week, yeah. We'll be doing the show like last year and the year before.
You're not going back to New York. You're just going from Alabama to San Francisco.
I'm back in New York right now. I got back yesterday.
Oh, you're in New York now.
Yeah,
Look at you back.
This is my normal setup.
You're right.
Too many hits to the head for you today, Gary.
Too many hits to the head. You're right. You're right.
Your CTE is showing.
It is. It is. Oh, by the way, who you got? Shakur or Tio tomorrow night at the Garden?
I don't know, to be honest with you. Who's the favorite?
Shakur's the favorite, but Shakur's moving up in weight. Shakur started at 126, then he was 130.
I've always liked Shakur. I've been a fan of his. He's a Brooklyn kid too, isn't he? Like I've always liked that
Jersey,
story.
Newark.
Okay, Newark. Yeah, I knew he was from the area.
Tio's a Brooklyn kid. Tio's from Brooklyn. That's why they're fighting at the Garden.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I'll definitely find a way to watch it though.
All right. Oregon. I like Shakur. Shakur's another level. Like Shakur versus anybody, I'm taking Shakur by decision. Like I don't care. Tank Davis, Ryan, whoever the other guy is, I'm taking Shakur by decision. But there's a lot of Jordan there likes Tio, and then Jaden likes Tio. A lot of people like Tio. He's the bigger guy. He's a stronger guy.
Give us the parlay, Gary. Give us a boxing card parlay if you call him later.
Okay, we'll do. But Shakur by decision is -210. I think it's decent value.
Knockouts don't matter if you land enough jabs.
Hit the like button, comments, questions, super chats. The last chance here. We will do the Sam Darnold football raffle later. So if you can't watch the afternoon show, but you want to enter, gift a membership. Let me get to this one from veteran Jet fan before we get to one last call. Hear me out, Jake. I know you shut this down yesterday with valid reasoning, but would the Texans consider trading Stroud? One, I don't think they would, VJF. Jets could call. They have ammo and connections to make a deal. I don't think the Texans would trade him. I also personally don't want him. I don't think CJ Stroud would be a good fit in the New York market. I don't. Knowing what I know about him, he's very online. I don't think he takes to coaching very well. I think playing in New York is not for everyone. I don't think it'd be a good fit. That's my personal opinion. I also don't want to give up a lot for him. If you told me it was like, hey, you trade only 1 first, then it's like a worthwhile swing. But I would not trade 2 firsts for CJ Stroud. Ladies and gentlemen, one final call before we wrap up what has been an enthralling program. Ladies and gentlemen, we say hello to the beast himself.
Time to grow balls. Grapefruit-sized balls. I don't like grapefruit. I don't like seafood because I get allergic to it and try to break out in goddamn hives because I got problems with that. Trouble today. Shoulder.
What happened?
It's tight. Cold weather hits you. You know, I'm going to tell you, you're going to get this too in the coming years to come.
Woo! Ka-ching!
I'm going to say this once, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell it like it is. No deal for CJ Stroud. No. He's not fit here. Not fit, no good. Clothes are not going to work here. Sorry. Not going to fly straight here. You got to earn a little bit more than that. I mean, you got to work your way up the ladder. It's like when you start at the bottom. And you got to crawl, and you got to crawl, and you got to crawl your way up the ladder. See, that's how you make business in life. You want to make it to the top, you got to crawl your way up the ladder. It's called thrive to succeed or glory for success.
Woo! Ka-ching!
That's what makes big money or big men like us with big money. And guess where I'm going to be going this afternoon? Northern suburbs, baby. Yeah, that's right. Going out to the suburbs today. Going out to countryside, Hotchkins, and then next Thursday, got to go to Berwyn for a doctor's appointment. The fun never ends. But I'm gonna tell you right here, right now, these boys better learn something because I got my 5 stallions ready to go, and us stallions, we have a saying here: if you don't want to be here, you can leave. You want to be here? Come on board. We'll show you what pain, suffering, and screaming feel like from many miles away. We will.
Hey, Beast, you're up.
We will stretch you to the point where your face will be 10 times worse, and it will be so purple by the next morning you wake up, you're going to be black and blue, and you're going to be 10 times sore. And I'm going to tell you, you can look at the likes of Stu Hart, who stretched so many wrestlers like Jericho, Benoit, Edge, Christian, the Hart.
Who cares?
Even Davey Boy Smith, you could ask those guys. They've been stretched. Nobody gives a shit. I want to see our boys get stretched. And I'm talking stretched to the point where their eyeballs are going to bust in the back of their head. All you're going to see is red eyeballs. Oh, shit. This ain't no lay down in the park. This ain't no stretch talk. This ain't no run amok. This ain't no flabbergast. I am not a meatball. I'm way too powerful, and I know something about facts. All we gotta do is grow a set, get some balls. Now, are we ready for that raffle? Happy New Year!
Well said, Beast. Well said. Don't know what you said, but it was well said. We'll be back this afternoon for that raffle. We're going to raffle away a Sam Darnold signed football. Thank you to everyone who has already entered. We will raffle that away on our second stream. I want to thank the Asmaniac community. You guys are truly the best. Without you, this show would cease to exist. So thank you for that one. Please join the Patreon if you haven't. You can get access to the Discord. You also will get all the perks that come with a Patreon membership, like your name added to the countdown intro. We update it every month. So a few days left in the month of January, which means make sure you join if you want in. Thank you to Snoopy, Moshe Bahar, Jesse Smith, Steven Stoller, and Michael Perez for being our most recent Patreon subscribers. Again, you guys are the best. Don't let go of the rope. We'll talk to you soon, aka this afternoon. JETS, 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 Jets. Let's go.
That's my nurse over there. Say hi.
Where is she?
Brittany. She's a very nice lady. Hooking me up to some antibiotics.
Whoa.
Freaky down.
What
No,
happened?
she put it in my IV, knucklehead. Stop.
She put it in?
Calm your freaky down. Don't listen to this.
You should ask her to wear one of those hospital gowns, where it opens up. Ask her to slip into one of those.
No, Robbie, you behave yourself. I'll see you soon.
Be well, Bobby.
We love you, Bobby. Get better soon.
Shout out. I hope that Bobby feels better. Mazel tov for him to get better.
Mazel tov for him to get better. Absolutely.
I'm going to get gonorrhea and kiss on the cheek. Yeah. Oh, I got gonorrhea. Oh, my God, I got gonorrhea. Kiss my cheek. Gonorrhea. You have to have sex to have gonorrhea.
Hey, here's the deal. Just got no chance unless you click on that like button. And you got to make sure you subscribe to the Jake Asman Show. You don't, you can get the out. Now let's go, Asmaniacs. We're built for this shit.